Hello, my beautiful peasants, and welcome back to the tavern. Today we're going to be sculpting a Patreon request. It is my sticky note. Male human barbarian, which sounds very generic, but what it actually is going to be more specifically is a character inspired by the Houndmaster from Darkest Dungeon. Super good games, by the way. The second game is nothing like the first game, so you might not like it, but they're both really good games in their own right. Let's see. Technically speaking, a Houndmaster, you're like, oh, isn't that a ranger? Doesn't look like a ranger at all. Looks like a barbarian. Has a studded maul. Yeah. Or club. Yeah. Very good, very good. How are you guys doing? I see Just Lingual is here and a couple of my mods. Lovely. One of those is my Husmin. Other one is Loa. Hello, hello. Just Lingual says, I'll actually be sculpting alone today, I think. I'd love that. I think that'd be super cool. I'm in the mod chat right now, and Reaper has solved the problem. And she's like, do I get points for successfully troubleshooting a problem? Yes. Probably gonna tell Reaper, I'm like, you need to make a point emoji. Like a gold star. Beautiful. Hope y'all are doing well. I'm glad that I'm streaming today, not just because it's fun to hang out with y'all, but because my goodness, yesterday, it was just a slog. I just wouldn't get anything done. I don't know why. I did my admin stuff, and now it's like, okay, time for the art. And I was just like, I don't know why. It's not like I'm burned out, or I just didn't want to. And it's not like I wanted to like play video games instead or read. I just wanted to do nothing. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not an option. But when I stream, it definitely, I don't know, since there's people watching, it only has to be one. I'm like, well, I should do something then. I don't know why, but it works. It works for me. Let's see, any other small updates I got going on? I'm trying to figure out a way to embed secret search terms into my vault posts. So when you guys are searching for my 1200 models on my website, I can also put keywords like IP specific keywords that will not get me sued, but will work in the search bar. So when you type in stuff like Favelin, you get a Favelin instead of having to search Fey Goblin. We'll see. It's harder than it should be. Oh, that's right. It's officially 1 year of Aloha being a member. Woo, 1 year of the tavern. Oh, I love that. How fun. How fun. Awesome. That's great. Just Lingual said, I actually bought gold stars to give other depressed engineering students. It's surprisingly effective. See? Exactly. I knew it. Same page. You do have a cool orange badge now. I like it. Gorgeous. Let's see. Small farm update, but not my farm update. My neighbors have a bunch of horses, and it looks like they have family or friends coming over to ride and have a good time. And I kind of poked my head out because I saw that my neighbors aren't actually home. They're just trusting the people to go out and manage themselves on a trail ride. And you know, I look out my window because I'm nosy as all get out, and I just see a couple things that I'm like, that's not how I would do that. But there's lots of different ways to skin a cat. I'm sure it's fine. And I keep watching. I'm like, I really feel like that could be a problem. I'm like, no, it's fine, Mia. You're just being a busybody. Stop. I literally am like standing by the window, like, watching, and sure as shit, 10 minutes, I hear like a yell, and I look, no one's hurt, and one of those horses is dead sprint down the road. I'm like, I walk to my room, I put on my hat, I start looking, and then I know these horses really well. I know obviously this whole area really well, and I see her turn down on this dirt road path, and I know exactly where that goes. It just dead ends into their property again. So I'm like, all right, I'm sure it's fine. I didn't run out there or anything, because then I have to explain that I was watching you from the window and I saw your shit fall apart. Anyway, but it was fine. They got the horse back. It wasn't a big deal. But it's funny when I'm just like, little nosy anxiety brain is like, you're doing that wrong. And I'm like, it'll be fine, Mia. Don't worry about it. And sure as shit, it went wrong. I was like, okay. Anyway, they're here again today. So I'm kind of like happy I'm streaming because it kind of gives me like, I don't know, like no tangential responsibility even. Anyway, but that's the farm drama. Hi, Ray. Hello, hello. Oh, we got boxing later. That's cool. Raid boxes? Neat. Ray confirmed monk class. Oh, I love that. That's when it never gets old, like talking about like, oh, what class would you be? I always think that's fun. I always feel like druidy vibes, but I feel like, let's be real, Ranger is getting more accurate by the day. All right, let's start doing sculpting. Let's do work. Let's do art. That's why we're here. I don't hear any yelling, so I don't think any horses are loose today. All right, this is our inspiration. And I do mean inspiration. I'm not gonna sculpt this exactly. Bam. That's the character. We're gonna make something similar. I made a bloodhound sculpt to match with it, which is fun. All right, so there's a couple things I do differently now because I haven't streamed a character like this in a long time. One, I now have a head collection. Here are my heads. I have so many heads. I'm gonna just scroll down through these really quick because it's kind of fun to see them all. But I realized that I had a little bit of same face syndrome going on, and to be fair, some of these are pretty similar too, but now I got a lot more variety. Oh, I love this orc head so much. Like, this is so good. But yeah, I just kind of I didn't like that I was doing the same thing over and over and over again when I was importing a body. And I'm like, it's better if I have a head collection where I can go through and then stick them on at the end because I'm getting a little bit more variety. Like these two don't have a whole lot of difference to them, but they read totally different, you know? This is one of my droopy monsters, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's a lot more facial expressions too. I feel like everything in my older library just kind of has like a quiet smolder. And that's it. And I'm like, we can do a little better than that. So yeah. It's time to make a new head because I don't really have any heads that fit this and I need those luscious, are those mutton chops? I don't know. The straw beard thing. I'm going to create his head pretty much exactly. And then we're going to vary up the outfit itself because I don't want this glove thing. I'm pretty sure this is like one of those dog training gloves where they like bite the shit out of you. I think. Anyway, I'm not going to include that. Yeah. Hey, Otaka. Sounds good. Welcome in. Welcome in. All right. So the first thing that we do is we bring up a body. I use ZBuilder 3. You can use whatever you want. Thinking about it. And then we're going to create a man. All right, we will go to clay. Excellent. And then make this more man. Also, by doing this head extraction thing, I can now make the heads a little bit bigger, which is more like heroic scale. It's just a little easier to paint. Hello, catfish. Just coming in yelling. Yeah, you have been our little sprinkle of chaos recently. All right, I want this guy to be a little on the lanky side. Make him a little skinnier, a little bit heavier. And then mostly I want this for the head. Usually I don't end up customizing the body and the head at the same time, but I don't happen to have either one of these things that I need. So we're doing both today. All right, I'm looking at this face here and seeing how I want to translate that. This already has pretty good bones, honestly. I might bring the expression down a touch. And then I like making the eyes a bit larger. You're seeing this flash right now because I'm clicking on different menus on my side. There we go, make the eyes a bit larger. And then everything else, I sculpt myself. That's why I'm just like, yeah, tools help, but at the end of the day, you're just gonna have to do it yourself. If you can take some time off, that's nice. But don't be discouraged if you're like, man, this is still so difficult, even though I bought a tool. I'm like, yeah, you still gotta do the art. We're gonna change this material to polyskin, and I don't really plan on poly painting today. I want to start this model and finish it all on stream. So we're gonna be cooking. Speaking of, I'm actually gonna pull up the mod chat in Discord. I'm gonna leave Tavern Chronicles somewhat unattended. So mod chat, if you guys need me, stop fighting in the mod chat. You can post in there. mods now have the ability to make Discord polls that will be shown on stream, which is kind of fun. I don't really have any plans for polls, but if I'm talking about stuff like, oh, should his hair look like this or this, maybe you guys can be, I don't know, intuitive. I don't know. Just tell me in mod chat if you post a poll you want visible on stream. All right. How long are you streaming for today? At least 2 hours. Honestly, probably as long as it takes to finish this model from start to finish. Why is that my goal today? I don't know. I want problems. It feels so weird to ignore y'all in the chat, but you're just talking about nonsense anyway. I like it. Okay. Catfish does kind of bring in the Hidden Valley Ranch energy, but in the good way. You're gonna make a Loa quit. Don't even say that. All right. First thing we're gonna do. Make us the head template. So I'm gonna call this male. Hide this. And then we're gonna start sculpting this face right here. Delete lower. And I like to go pretty low on the collarbones because it helps me kind of put everything into place later on. Otherwise it looks weird. There we go. You can go ahead and close holes. I don't really care that this is a little wobbly, but if you do want to clean that up, just turn min connected points on your smooth brush to 1. And there you go. He's ploppable now. All right, there's 2 things we're gonna need here, and we're gonna add things in order of most importance, and the first being eyebrows. When you get to this line right here, which is where the plane of your head shifts, that's where your eyebrow changes directions as well. You can have all kinds of different shaped eyebrows, but they follow rules still, and that's one of the rules. That's a little large. Don't mind bushy eyebrows, but we're getting a little ridiculous. I made it worse. 0.005, not 0.05. There we go. Awesome. I'm gonna flip these over to the back side and turn on move and back face mask to make them nice and thick. Very good. They're still not bushy enough. What I want to do is really start fussing with the hair and stuff, but the reality is that this guy, what makes this guy, what's the essence? It's the mustache and the hair and the scraggliness. So I'm adding what's most important first. So much of 3D sculpting, at least the way I do it, is just painting shapes and then extracting them, and it's just perpetually funny to me. Because it looks so silly. I'm gonna be using the contrast slider a lot. Just add some more oomph. Very good. Let's get that off his face a little bit. Great. And now for the beard thing, which I'm realizing I don't know what mutton chops are. I keep calling them mutton chops, but I don't think they are. That's just this part, huh? Like it doesn't touch your chin? I don't know. I got pinged in Tavern Chronicles. Is it a poll? It is a poll. It's a useless poll. Whatever. Let's see if this feature works. I said that we can do this, but I didn't actually test it out yet, so I have to go figure that out first. You guys know how it is. Nothing ever works ever. Although I was like, I specifically didn't tell you you had to put this on the screen. I know. Hey, it worked. That's awesome. And then I should be able to really easily change the size of this. Yeah. Is that readable for you guys at all? If you need that to be larger, please let me know. But there you go. Now Tavern peasants can vote and cause problems. And the reason why I don't want to just use the YouTube chat is because my mods can't make polls, which I think is the dumbest thing. Like if I make someone a moderator on my channel, I want them to be me in the chat, you know, do anything that I can do. They need more power. But I can't fix that, so we just have a workaround. Which honestly is great, because I want you all in the Discord anyway. Let's be real. Oh, I need to click show results. Otherwise, this is kind of useless, huh? Ha ha ha. There we go. I think they'll live update from here now that I have show results on. I don't know. We'll find out. We need more poing. We always need more poing. Mia isn't allowed to see. I saw it. It took me a while, but I saw it. Ray says, I miss poing. You know what's great? You can now complain to my mods about that. They're officially in charge of everything. I haven't given them my Streamlabs login or made them a collaborator yet, but that's coming. I'm just looking forward to literally anything a peasant asks for and being like, yeah, it's not my problem. And they're like, it's your channel, it's your content. I'm like, no, it's not my problem. Go complain to Aloha or Reaper or both. I'm using Sculptors Pro to get this shape right here. And then you can see we're kind of lacking on the volume. So I got two different ways I can add that. I can do move and back face mask, or I can use my delicious flipped normal brushes. I talk about these brushes like I'm sponsored. I'm not. Can you imagine Flipped Normal sponsoring me? They don't even sponsor it, even if they did. Anyway, I just really like these brushes. There we go. Looking kind of luscious. Very good. Dislingual says, Mia, you could probably add head variety by sculpting your 2D sketches. I probably could. Absolutely. Oh, well, don't complain to me, guys. This is what I pay you for. That's the only thing. I'm just kidding. Aloha would quit immediately, understandably. All right, what even are the poll results? Should we create more problems in the tablet for Mia? We have 3 saying yes. No one has said no. We'd be good. But we do have 2 maybes. So who are the maybes? They're my favorite. Blue Jester and Seal. Those are my favorites. The rest of you? One of those is my mods. Although you can't also vote yes. That's only your own problem to handle. Catfish is whining, complaining to Aloha. Very good. Right on cue. Amazing. Amazing. Blue Jester. Did I stutter? We are watching The Office again right now, so that's beautiful. All right. We're done with that. Back to hanging out in the mod chat, unless you guys need me. I don't think Aloha even meant to ping me, but I also added the tavern peasant role to myself, so. What's this? What is this destruction of topology? What? Ooh, ugly. When you make a mistake, you delete it, and then you close holes, and it generally fixes itself. Whee! That problem would have taken me a hot minute to fix, even just a few years ago, because I didn't understand how any of this was working. All right, we got some facial hair blobs on here. Very good. Do I detail these now or later? Yeah, I feel like it's always nice having detail to look at sooner than later. Something else I want to do is create kind of a before and after, because I haven't adjusted the head at all yet. So we're going to just put, okay, get over here, get out of the chandelier. There we go. We're not swinging from the chandelier today. All right, here is our head that we started with, and now you can watch it unfold and look more interesting. Very good. All right, we are looking for good, not perfect. Never perfect, always good. I want a more interesting silhouette and texture here. And I also want it to have more than one layer. So let me kind of add a few here. I'm just using Sculptors Pro and Snakehook to achieve this. And I will also, this is a really important part, you want to make sure you're blending this into the skin. It's not going to be a perfect line. If you're like, well, that's a little too scribbly, Mia. I know, trust the process. So I make it kind of scribbly, and then I grab my Move Topological brush, and then I can kind of like scoot it into the skin. ZBrush was like, no, you can't. Scoot it into the skin, and then you can kind of have this more natural look. I mean, you can go to a barber and get like perfectly cut right there, I'm sure, but that's not what we're looking for. Otherwise, it kind of looks like a Lego mustache that's stuck on. When I do lots of little clicking, it pisses off ZBrush when I stream, which is a-okay. We're here to kind of chill and be cool anyway. It reminds me to work slower, which is really not a bad thing. Because I know a lot of you guys watch these streams to like learn something or something. So if I can't go like Super Saiyan mode, it's not the worst thing. I'm gonna Dynamesh this, make that look a little nicer. Yeah. Inflate that, because I know there was a problem there. Sweet. And then move and back face mask. Amazing. I feel like I'm neglecting the chat so much by not reading anything. But I know I can do a nice balance of streams where I just chat with y'all a bunch and streams where I actually get some sculpting done. It's like you guys get along or something. I always think it's interesting, like there's some streams I've tuned into with other creators where like the chat doesn't talk to each other at all. They just talk to the creator, which is funny because it's a bigger streamer that I was watching and like they don't have time to talk to them either. It's just a bunch of people talking at the creator. It reminds me a lot of the episode of Family Guy where Stewie just like, mom, mummy, mother, like that's the chat. And I'm like, why don't you guys talk to each other about the stream? Anyway, I appreciate that you guys can just talk to each other. Some really easy, dirty, like detail I like to do for beards is just using the rake brush. So B for brush palette and then R. Or you can go find it in here, but I never can find anything. I turn on back face mask, subdivide if I need it, it looks a little pixelated. And then you can start getting this really nice texture really, really easily. It's very sensitive, so make sure your direction is going the way you want it to. And don't just do like a big streak or whatever, kind of like layer it on in little chunks. And again, it's very sensitive, so it's gonna start tearing other chunks and being misbehaved. You can either just keep doing over and over again until you get lucky or do it right, or you can mask the area. I just like to do it over and over again until it works, and that has worked well for me. And then some of the messiness here I actually think suits this character quite well. So there we go. We're going to use the contrast slider a touch, and now we're going to do our last bit of shaping, because I have kind of this U shape, and this is a bit lower. It's a bit boxier. I really should have done this before I detailed it, but that's fine. All right, I've got the straight line here. If I really wanted to make this extra detailed, I would actually make this section right here its own piece entirely. But I don't think we need to go that hard on this. I really don't. Great, we have a thing. Amazing. We're gonna kind of detail the underside roughly. No one looks here. Don't look at it. Great. We can delete hidden, and then we can crush that poly count. We're currently at 400,000 points. I'm gonna put it at 25,000 points. And while that's cooking, I'll read the chat a little bit. Hello, Indelier, welcome in. Catfish, we are a conclave. I'm glad you're enjoying the community. Beautiful. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you guys are just being pure nonsense. I don't feel as bad for ignoring y'all then. Carry on. Make merry. All right. This was our before density, and this is our after. Great. The only thing is once you crush the poly count like this, we can go to sculpt again. See, it looks all pixelated and nasty. You can just subdivide and then get it back-ish. But generally speaking, once I decimate something down, I wipe my hands of it. I'm done. All right, we are now gonna detail the other things. I'm gonna adjust the shape after I detail, actually. So I'm gonna subdivide a few times, grab my trusty rake brush, back face mask, and get some detail in here. There we go. Neat. And I did that first because I think I actually want to use my snake hook brush plus Sculptress Pro to follow these hairlines a little bit. Yeah, I think that looks nicer actually. Kind of nice. Very nice. Super fast. Great. Same thing, we're gonna crush that down. I think 15,000 points will be fine. Beautiful. And now I'm gonna merge this down. And what's cool is I got this handy dandy little beard thing I can tack on to other characters. So I will go to Tool, Export, go to my Downloads folder, and you'll see I kind of have this naming system here. I got hat and item. So this is going to be hair underscored not mutton chops. I don't really care what I name it because I just look at it visually, but sometimes the name helps. And if I was thinking, I would search mutton to find this, even though they're not. Doesn't matter, it's my naming system. Okay, now for the mustache. I almost call these are not mustaches, eyebrows, which he doesn't have any of in here, but that's fine. We're gonna do the same kind of technique where I'm gonna use the rake brush first. All right, stop being misbehaved. Are you using Sculptress Pro? Are you Sculptress Proing on me? Stop giving me that pop-up. Go away. If you guys are around here, you know I feel very strongly about pop-ups. Same way that I get irrationally angry when the microwave beeps at me. I don't need to be beeped at. I know there's food in there. Like, I'm the one who put it in there. Do your guys' microwaves do this where like, if you put in food and once it's done, like it screams and beeps, whatever, but then if you don't open the door within like a minute, it beeps a little bit more? Drives me crazy. Anyway, I think these eyebrows are too flat, actually. We need some roundness right here. So I just added that in, bam, using my Flip Normals soft brush. Stop. All right. We're a little weird on our shape here. Get in there. That's better. Now we'll come in with our rake brush. Mia, do you use a rake brush to detail all hair? No, literally never. I only use it for beards, but because this guy's whole face is textured like a beard, I'm using the rake brush everywhere. Mia, do I have to use a rake brush? No, obviously not. Use whatever you want. You could use Damn Standard, you could use, you don't even have to use this kind of hair sculpting technique at all. I do this because it's really fast and it is more than good enough. What's another question I can just hear? Mia, do I have to use Sculptress Pro to use snake hook? No, but it does work better. Mia, Sculptress Pro never works for me. I know, try using it with snake hook first. I had Paint ask me that earlier this morning. I mean, he didn't complain that it never works. He's just like, wow, it's not really doing what it should be. And it can work strangely. It doesn't work with every single brush. So a good brush to test out Sculptress Pro with is snake hook. So much so, if you click on snake hook, it tells you, hey, you should probably enable Sculptress Pro. Pretty cool. All right, this is looking good. I'm gonna merge all the hair down. Actually, these eyebrows are way too small. I want them like huge. There we go. Yeah. All right, so his face looks ridiculous because it's so plain and detailless, and that's where we come in. Step one, let's give some definition to this face and what's going on, because currently he's so smooth. I'm gonna subdivide once, I'm gonna save, and then I'm going to come in with Damn Standard and start bumping up some features I can grab onto. Hey, Taylor's here. Hello, hello. Taylor says, I'm not sure how this would work, but if you want him to look especially masculine, you could have the curvature of his chin cleft be visible with the way the beard is over it. I agree. I kind of touched on that earlier where I mentioned if I really want to go crazy with this, I would make this chin area a separate subtool as well. Absolutely. Absolutely. Any other comments or questions? No, it's just... Reaper said that is the standard for microwaves. It's to make sure you don't forget the food. I don't forget. I don't have that problem. So I found a way to mute the microwave entirely, microwave entirely so it never beeps. And then my husband and housemates like rioted. They were like, "Why is the microwave broken?" And I was like, so I had to change it. I was very outnumbered. I don't know why. I really think I'm right on this. So right now I'm just outlining features. It's really just as simple as that. Nah, I don't like that. There's the bridge of the nose. I want a line right here. I want to deepen these nasolabial folds as well. And you'll slowly start to see the character looks a little more intentional, but these are just landmarks for me right now. So now I can go in with my Move Topological brush and start shaping things. I like the landmarks, one, because it just makes it easier to see like how to grab onto stuff with my Move brush, but also because these are minis, they're printed this big, and the more of an edge you can put on things, the better they show up printed. Some people take that to an extreme and all their models are bobbleheads. You really don't have to do that. People that do that for the sake of, because, oh, I do minis and 3D printing, kind of confuses me, because it's a style. You can absolutely do that, but you don't have to do that. You don't have to. All right, we're gonna kind of lower this brow here a little bit. And then we're gonna wrinkle up his forehead. To do that, I like to simply turn off symmetry, and I scribble a line here, and oh, nope, here, scribble another line, scribble, 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 scribble. And then I turn on symmetry and I smooth out the edges. It's really quite that simple. Now I'm gonna come in with my soft clay brush and start building up features that are gonna make him look more unique. I'm going to make him a little more gaunt. His nose needs to be like 1,000 times larger. And hooked. You guys know how I feel about hooked noses. Positive. There we go. And I'll go back with my clay brush here and build up some of these wrinkles. I'm not gonna go too crazy about, I know the sides of his head are perfectly smooth. I'm not gonna worry about that because I'm gonna put hair there. I do want this wrinkle though. Even though his giant eyebrows mostly cover it. And again, I go a lot more detailed with my faces than I used to before because I now have a head library. So it is worth my time to have fun with these. Your ears and your nose never stop growing. So the older a character is, the larger I make these things. Also, there's a little hollow right here that starts to develop, or I guess hollow out. As you get older, you kind of lose that bit of fat on your face. Bam. And it really adds a lot, I think. Gonna add these wrinkles, more dramatic. And then maybe a second eye bag. I think I want this to be a little more, yes. No, no. All right. We're looking quite different from where we started, which is great. Now let's create this hairstyle, which I have mixed feelings on. I don't know if I'll ever use it again. Not much of a center part lover on men. All right, he's got a really far back hairline. So the way you sculpt hair is you kind of give him like a little hair cap. I like to use a lasso brush to do that lay that in pretty quickly for myself. And then I fine tune it using the mask brush. There we go. Great, hair cap. Let's bring it forward here a little bit because I forgot what a hairline looks like apparently. There's like an angle here or something. There we go. Yeah. Where's our male pattern baldness? There it is. Great. Now let's extract. To a skinny. 0.01. Let's see how that looks. Great. All right, we now have this little cap of hair. This is the exact same way I constructed the eyebrows, mustache, and not mutton chops. pretty happy with that. And we got two ways we can go about this. You can use the curved tube brush stroke. What are we doing? There we go. Curve modifiers, click on size, and then flip to this graph. All this does is that now when I draw a line, it's now tapered, which is pretty cool. You're more than welcome just to use this brush and then detail it later. That's totally fine. I bought a brush from Danny Mac because it has a little bit more variety and functions pretty much the exact same way. See? I don't like that it's sticking to his head like a weird noodle. To fix that, you just change your picker from continuous Z to once Z, which means it's only gonna like lock on once. All right, we're gonna do this not in symmetry because it's annoying me. We're also going to lock start so I can kind of move it around without, see how the whole piece moves around? Oh, the start is locked because it's a Danny Mac brush. Never mind. Awesome, which means I can kind of move this around, which I like. It does seem to really have strong feelings about laying nicely. I will win. When people complain about curved brushes, my first thought's always like, have you tried being mean to it? All right, that's gonna be good enough. We're gonna split mask points, zoom on in here, subdivide once, and then inflate a little bit. I smoothed it a little bit as well, and then I'm using my move brush to kind of put this into place. A little bit of contrast. You guys know I love the contrast slider. All right, now we have a section. Because 3D printing, I tend to kind of tuck these in, and they will touch the head in some way, because this and this don't look any different, but one of them isn't touching the face and one is touching the face. So obviously, do the one that's touching the face. Great. Let's kind of blend this in a little nicer. Awesome. Okay. It's only 5,000 points, so I can simply duplicate this and make a bunch of them. As I duplicate, I am making it a bit larger and then giving it a little bit of variety as I go back. Great. I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and merge all of these down, duplicate and mirror. But why didn't you mirror and weld, Mia? Because sometimes I get these weird artifacts in the middle and I don't want to deal with that. So it's easier for me to simply manually move them towards the center. You get kind of a more natural looking hairline too. Yeah, so you can kind of get them to overlap a little bit. God, that's a dorky haircut. We're gonna fix it. All right, I'm gonna merge this down together by polygrouped it first. So I have this section and I have this section. And then we're gonna undorkify this a little bit. Again, I don't love center parts on men. Some men can pull it off. I mean, as I have a center part. This haircut's not that different than mine. I'm realizing that now. Okay, so I'm gonna make it a little shorter. And then what's really gonna make this look better and not so ridiculous is going in with Move Topological and making it a little bit messier. This is where the Danny Mac hairbrush really shines, because I can just kind of mess it up, and that's what's gonna make this look nicer. There we go. My confidence on that was a little lower. I was like, is it gonna look better? This looks pretty stupid. Nope, we're good. Woo. All right, I split them into different subtools again because I wanna grab a couple of these pieces here and rotate them to the front. That's really gonna help make this look not, actually, because he was looking a little like that. See, now he's looking more rugged mountain men. Yeah. The little hair pieces go a long way. That's why you see that in so many different anime, you know, they've got like the personality hair piece. Okay. Great. Now what do I do with the rest of it? I don't really want to do this with the rest of his hair. I'm trying to think if there's a piece I can use that's already done for me, by me. I don't think so. Okay, I'll do it myself. I'll use the Danny Hair Mac brush again and try to cover as much area as I can. I'm gonna go back to continuous Z and then no symmetry turned on. That's about the length that would make sense. Same thing, once I have it on here, I like to add a couple subdivision levels and then smooth it a touch. Great. Duplicate, move brush. And again, you don't have to use this. You can absolutely just use the free already in ZBrush curve brush and then detail it later. This saves me any amount of time, so it's very valuable to me because this is my business. Also, I'd go crazy if I had to do the same kind of detailing over and over and over and over again. And again, they look really dumb until you come through and you start fluffing. That's natural. I'm gonna blanket statement that anything with sculpting looks really dumb until it's done. Dumb until dumb. Dumb until done. There we go. Dumb until done. So you can't be upset when your art looks stupid, especially if you're sculpting. And it looks bad, because that's kind of the whole point. I'm doing kind of this spiky anime thing just because I'm trying to cover as much head ground as possible. I'm glancing over at the chat and I don't see any orange, which means I don't see anyone pinging me, so I'm assuming you're fine. I can also, Reaper, Aloha, if you're like, you have to interact with the chat literally at all, just let me know in the mod chat. I'm just kind of focused today, so it's a little more of a cooking stream. But if other people are also cooking or being silly and self-entertaining, that works great. All right, that's good enough. Subdivide. We don't want to just leave this totally blank. We're actually going to texture it the same way as everything else. Which is funny because just earlier I asked like a fake question being like, is this how you detail hair? And I'm like, God, no. But again, this is kind of a unique situation, unique character. I'm literally just gonna blanket on texture here because you're not really gonna see it. It's just gonna poke through. And if it's perfectly smooth, it looks weird. But if you just have a little something going on underneath here, it helps a lot. There. See? It looks good. And then I can use the snake hook brush with Sculptress Pro and kind of flip out these ends a touch. It's a process. Great. Ooh, don't crash. That was a weird little lag. Don't threaten me. All right, we're gonna polygroup these hair chunks and now I'm gonna merge them together. Bam, duplicate, mirror, great. We're mostly covered. Yay. I'm gonna duplicate again and see if I can just stick this portion on the back. It totally works. Yay. Again, it's not about being lazy. It's just about, this is not my magnum opus. I just want to get it done without becoming an art robot. So you just gotta kind of find a in between. I'm supposed to meet with a student today at 4. Oh, we got plenty of time. Or I think I'm meeting with them today, it depends. 2026 started off really spicy for them, so we haven't talked in a little bit, which is a-okay. Check it out. So that's how I translate this kind of style to my own style. Obviously has a lot of similar elements, but ultimately, he's mine. His eyes aren't telling me anything right now. That's better. Just looks kind of sad. There we go. Great. We're gonna call this hair mostly done. Let's give it a little contrast slider. Here's the before, here's the after. More oomph, always good. How ridiculous can I make this? More. Just kidding, there's such a thing as too much. Great. All right. We're gonna merge down all of these hair chunks and then decimate them a touch. I am going to adjust them more later, but I think they've definitely gotten the job done. So I'm not gonna fuss with them anymore right now. I'm happy with them. Mikey says, hi everybody. Well, hey, that's my haircut. Are you a mountain man? Wow, that looks a lot like me. Yeah, so you know that Discord verification picture thing? Just kidding, that's too soon. Immediately I'm like, you know what's funny right now? Identity theft. Okay, Mia, stop. Anyway. That is so funny that Mikey comes in and it's like, wait a minute. That looks really familiar. This is 3 million polys. Wow, get out of here. You get 55,000 points. Take it or leave it. Angie noodle hair. Shut up. Hey, ZBrushing is back. Well, hello there. It's about time to watch Star Wars again. No, Aloha, stop. Mia, wow, look at this stupid dorky hair. Who would have this? Hey guys, that's me. Stop it. I just said that middle parts are just not the easiest thing to pull off, and then I realized I have a middle part and I got the same kind of thing happening, it's just less stringy. So it turned into a self roast, it all balanced out, we're fine. I did say that though. Anyway. We're gonna merge all this down, and now we're gonna keep this, will be another exportable thing. I'm waiting for Mikey's to be like, wait, Mia said this looks stupid. I'm like, it just looks like you haven't had a haircut. I need to stop. We're about done with the head, and then I have another head to add to my collection. I'm gonna call this hair _ Mikey's, because that's the funniest shit. Mikey's, you're now officially in my asset library. It's too funny. Mikey says, I have a way shorter beard, which would make you look 100% less like a mountain man. So that's good. No, looking like a mountain man, not the worst thing. Catfish, I will never emotionally recover from this. No, Mikey's is tough. Mikey's is fine. All right, this looks pretty good. Gonna use my handy dandy contrast slider to give me a little bit of talent. See, before. I joke about it, but I am being totally serious. Before, after, right? Just oomph. That's it. A little bit of oomph. Very good. All right, let me move something over here that's been driving me crazy. There we go. OBS, if you're hovered over something in OBS, which is the interface I see to make sure my stream is functioning, it'll put a red box around it and it just drives me crazy. All right. We now have this face. If you were just tuning in, hello, you should subscribe, join my Discord. We do cool stuff, I stream a lot. All right, we went from this base head here to this, and I think it looks really good. So yeah. I'm gonna take a little 5-minute break, but on stream, I think. Drink water and stuff. And then if you guys have questions, ask. I'm actually available and paying attention to the chat right now. So now is the time to ask. You can ask questions about the sculpt or whatever. The weather here today is like really nice. It's like 60s. It's way above average right now. Did I tell you guys that my town did not run out of water? Well, it did, but my specific house, we did not lose water. The pressure got a little lower, a little threatening, but we never completely ran out of water, which I'm really grateful because just down the road, people didn't have water for like a week. And I was like, oh, I don't want to camp in my own house. I'm used to, like, I cannot use a lot of water, but, oh man. Anyway, it worked out. It was fine. People were sending their kids outside to scoop snow off the ground so they could have the snow melt and then fill the tanks in their toilets so they could flush still. It was wild, guys. Also, I do not live in a drought area. It was just because I think our water filtration plant or mirror is a groundhog. I don't know what happened. I'm not sure what happened. But we're okay now. It looks like it's gonna be fine. My keys just say, oh. Oh, I am honored. I made the library. Wait, I look stupid? Nobody told me. You know, life, it's a give and take. A little more on the take side generally, but there's your give. You've been immortalized in the M3DM library. All right, but seriously, does anyone have questions about this? I'm not gonna do it again, but like, if you have a specific question on what the fuck just happened, please ask. I'd be more than happy to give you some general pointers on how I did that. How long has this been? What is happening? Yeah, about an hour. That makes sense. I did a whole new hairstyle. And head. Okay, I'm gonna go put him in my library now. And I'm gonna name it Mikey's. Alright, so the head, this itself, I mean, I don't think that looks like you. I highly doubt that looks like you. Anyway, we're going to lower the resolution because I don't want a bunch of like million plus polys in my head library. We can actually probably get down to 55,000. Very good. Auto groups and mirror, because it always gets out of symmetry. Oh no, I do want it out of symmetry because I don't want the head wrinkles to be symmetrical. It looks weird. All right, that looks good. Great. I'm gonna also just type for my own sake, male Mikeys, as if there's a female Mikeys, just so I can maybe search it correctly later. Great. So here's how I create my head library. I'm gonna go into teaching mode really quick. Teaching mode. It just means you see my whole library. That's it. All right, so I have a subtool called heads. I went over here to tool, click load. There's my head subtool. Tools are not the same thing as ZPRs, ZP projects. Projects are made up of tools. There you go. This is one tool. And in here, I got all these subtools. Yes, they really had to use the same name for everything. And each one of these is a new head. Isn't that fun? Why do I collect these? Why wouldn't you? No, I'm kidding. I do this because generally speaking, it is faster for me to take something in here and modify it. I really didn't have a good generic male head like this though. Now everything I'm saying is like it's about Mikeys. This isn't whatever. I'm gonna, you know what I mean. All right, so I have an elven pretty man and now I have a rugged human man, which is great. I don't really sculpt a ton of men. It seems like I do a lot of creatures and women. So there we go. This is my head library. I'm gonna go through it pretty quickly. You can see why this is beneficial to have because I sculpt D&D characters. They're all requests from Patreon and it covers a lot. This baby is both awful and somewhat well done. I have mixed feelings on it. The terrible thing about this baby head is it's a centaur. You go to my vault and look it up. It's kind of awful. Anyway, that was a Roman senator lady. The goblin's great. I really enjoy him. He is a janitor, or he can be whatever he wants, but the model he currently is attached to is a janitor. Yeah. Really fun. That's a good one. This is actually a 3-headed sloth monstrosity is what I use this for. And a happy gnome. Who doesn't love that? Which I probably could have created what I have, like this character from this, but there were too many differences proportionally. See that? Way different proportionally. So I'm like, I'm not gonna be lazy. I'm gonna do it right. All right. And then to keep it, I'm gonna simply go to Desktop, Master Tools folder that I created for myself, and then save it here. You see I got heads. I also have items, shirts, collars, jackets, all kinds of stuff. Bam. Just like that. We're gonna go back to normal mode with my face. Where's my model? There it is. If you ever lose your model, click F on your keyboard, F for frame. And it should bring your model into frame. Unless you really, really fucked it up, then it will not. All right. And this is why it's worth creating your own stylized detail head. Just like, if you're gonna import stuff to make your own characters, that's fine, because there's only so much variety in an elbow. It's just an elbow, right? It's just a bicep, whatever. But the face, you know, is where a lot of your stylistic choices will shine. Don't ever just use a base mesh head and don't change it. Because I mean, here, let me cut off his head really quick. I mean, hide his head. I need to watch how I talk on stream. See what a difference? Now we have a character. Before, just like, hello, generic nothing man. I have anatomical correct features and I have nothing to say. Versus, there's a bit of a story here, you know? Yeah. And it's not just because he has hair. Bald men can have interesting, varied features, character as well. Just in case people were like, well, the hair is doing the heavy hit lifting. It's part of the story, but yeah, you don't have to have hair. Anyway, we're gonna give him some clothes. It's that time. I think his body looks weird. So lanky. What the heck? All right, I'm gonna grab this body and I'm just gonna like shrink it up. I'm also gonna delete subdivision levels because I just don't think I need it. Also gonna delete his head because I don't need that either. We're gonna just inflate the entire body a touch and then squish him down. Just a little bit. Good lord. I have long limbs. I got like orangutan proportions arm-wise. And even I'm like, this guy is so lanky. Yeah, that looks a little better. Yeah, all right. Let's give him some clothes. But first, I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna grab a snack or something. I'll be back in 5 minutes. And this is gonna go quick. I'm gonna literally outfit this man in like 30 minutes. So get a snack, take a break, and then get ready to lock in and see some cool stuff. Lol, I'm a tool. I've been told that a few times, but now it is true. You have a good attitude. Oh my goodness. Become a regular. Hang out in the chat. Be a peasant. Be a tool. Wendelier, Mia the Headhunter, also has some accuracy. Yeah. There's always a Dragon Ball philosophy. Same face for every character, but give them different hair. That could also work. Okay, I'll be back in like 5 minutes. Bye. Hello, I am back, and I have a snack. I'm gonna finish this, and then we will address this currently very angry naked man. We have a good time around here. Does anyone else eat these frozen? It's partly because I don't have a toaster. To be clear, I can afford a toaster. I don't want to sound... but no, we just don't have a toaster. So, I started eating these frozen in college, and yeah, I'm just a big fan. I don't know. I microwave them sometimes, but never with syrup. Should we dress this guy from the top down or from the bottom up? I think it's fun to just like print it. Although I did steal my toaster. Went all the way overseas because of it. Yep. I'd love to think that people are tuning into the stream for the first time ever. I have no idea who I am, what I'm doing. Just a girl eating a frozen waffle, looking at undressed man. It's a good stream. You should hang out. Nah, I'm gonna be doing stuff very soon. While you're hanging out, if you guys are enjoying the stream, like the stream. It's free. I would rather you just join the Discord. That means way more to me. But at the very least, you can like the stream. They're both free. Alright, we're getting started. I can delete my collection of heads. I don't need it. And we're started. How could you meet me at face to face before me? Y'all didn't even invite me. And me and Mia are neighbors. Yeah, we went out, took the horses out. It was a great time. Alright, we're getting rolling. I decided we're going to dress him from the bottom up. The first thing we're going to do is create some shoes. Why? Because problems. I've gotten better at shoes, but I haven't made any new ones in a little bit. I keep it pretty simple. Especially for a character like this, the magic is definitely not in the shoes. You'll see me ZBrush. I'm trying to keep the shape integrity for something that's a little more hard surface. There we go. But otherwise, I don't use ZBrush nearly as much as I used to, which everything was like perfectly clean. I don't really do that anymore. I kind of bring this up right here to give a suggestion of structure. I'm gonna mask a little heel and a little toe part. I do have shoes I've made before that I could just tack on, but it's not very often that I do a character start to finish anymore on stream. Maybe that will change, but I figured this would be a good one to not import any assets other than just the literal body, because I'm not going to sculpt the body from scratch and do everything else. It's too much. That looks really funny. Don't you worry. I'm not talking to you guys, talking to me. It's gonna look like something. I always like starting with shoes. It's a little bit of humble pie to get rolling. You get your little sock shape. And then until you get any detail on there, it looks like literally nothing. All right, I don't really like these. Probably because I don't really have a clear vision of what kind of shoe shape I want. It's probably because these are just gonna end up being kind of like wrappings. Probably should just leave these alone. Yeah, I can do that. It should have a little bit more volume right here and then a little less right here. I jumped the gun on the details because I was uncomfortable with how stupid it looked. Common mistake. Yeah, I should practice constructing these the same way that I construct faces, which is kind of having a little shoe breakthrough here. There's so much stitching that happens with a shoe. So you're gonna have these two side panels here and then this heel portion, which is kind of like this. Let's make that a little thinner and just kind of like carve out these sections that are supposed to be here. And it gives you a really good reference point when you're constructing the rest of it. Yeah. Yep. And then I'm not as worried about his feet. I kind of forgot that that is just kind of a thing with shoes, is that they don't really fit your feet. So if you have the shoe, the toes visible, it's kind of frustrating because you're trying to include them. But just gonna leave these kind of noodly sock shape where it's at and then move right along. I do want a little bit more of a toe here. Great. Noodly sock shape worked. Well, let's fix that. There we go. Thank you, Aloha. So glad I have you representing my thoughts on my stream. All right, we're gonna make pants, and these are gonna look a lot better. I really don't like those shoes. I just haven't found a way to make shoes quickly. They just wanna insist on taking a ton of time, no matter what I do. Which means I need to do them more often. All right, on to the rest of it. Pants. I'm gonna set a timer here for 15 minutes and kind of lock in and see how much I can get done. If the tab starts burning down, my mods can message me. Great, we have pants that look like anything. The shoes are abysmal. I live a little bit of humble pie where I'm like, you know, let me just throw this in, because the other day I like blocked out some shoes and they looked really good and they were pretty easy. And then I'm like, yeah, I'll just do that again. It's like, sorry, you haven't practiced that enough times, so that has to happen more. Don't you guys hate when you have like an artistic, successful fluke is the best way that I can put it, and like it goes really, really well, and you're like, oh great, I kind of leveled up. And then you go to use that skill again, and it's like, oh no. You need to do that like at least 100 more times before that's easy. I'm like, damn it. So excited to use that skill that I thought I had. And again, we're not gonna create this outfit exactly. I want him to look a little bit more like a barbarian. Just getting all these pieces blocked out so that they exist. Let's add a nice buckle onto this. There's a default buckle in ZBrush already. It's under IMM clothing. I always inflate it quite a bit. It just makes it easier to see. And then I got this like little item bag pouch brush a bit ago. I absolutely love it. I'm gonna go with some skinny ones. Again, don't want to add too many of these because it's gonna look more adventurer rangery as opposed to Barbarian then. But a Barbarian can carry at least a single pouch on him. All right, I'm gonna start making the clothing look a little more tattered. These abysmal shoes. Holy shit. All right, let's stop bullying the shoes. I'll be nice to them. They just look so stupid. There we go. I'm gonna crush those down to look simple. We'll get to them later. All right, and now I would like these arms to be a little more oomph, a little more barbarian looking. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually inflate them slightly, not including the hands. And now I'm gonna grab my move brush with back face mask, and we're gonna add some volume. You gotta be really careful because you can make it totally broken really quickly. I'm really making sure that the relationship between all the muscle groups still looks possible. Just adding some oomph. Do we have anything hidden? Ah, yes, the feet are hidden. Yeah, the feet can continue to be hidden. That's fine. Let's go ahead and close holes. Subdivide this once, and then we can kind of add some musculature here. I like detailing the muscles with the soft brush from, you guessed it, Flip Normals. I also like this kind of dirtier skin texture it creates. I think it's really nice. Making sure to add volume only where the muscle group permits. I do a little bit simplified. There's actually a little bit more going on with the deltoids than just this one volume right here, but I'm happy with this. I finally kind of understand forearms, which is very exciting. It's kind of like this, and there's a little divot right here. I like using the orb crack brush, even though this is really for hard surface, to really start to detail these muscles and kind of give the paint somewhere to settle in. The trick is just not to use it everywhere, just a little bit where needed. But you have this bump on the side of your wrist where your pinky connects. I always like to kind of exaggerate it. I'm gonna bulk up these hands a little bit by bringing those bones on top of the hand more forward. Great. Now that I have everything there, I'm going to mask just that section and see if the contrast lighter does anything for me. It does. Smooth out any areas that look a little odd, and then build up these chest muscles as well. Just adding a little more definition, something that's more interesting to look at. And I'm building these up specifically because I want them to look kind of bulky and kind of strong. But not just like Goliath level Barbarian, a little more in this underside. Where'd you get the pouch thing brush? I am not sure, if I'm being totally honest. I'm sure it was ArtStation. Yeah. I can grab that for you later, but you might have to remind me. All right, we're gonna do some wrist wraps, but not long sleeves, because I don't think that's Barbarian enough. For wraps, I've kind of taken a more simple approach here where I just make one little like bangle essentially, and then I will duplicate this and move it. And I found that this actually works surprisingly well. The only thing is that the thicker the bands are, the harder it is to weave them in and out. And if you want to, you can kind of try to speed it up by using the gizmo, but I find this is one of those things that's a little finicky. Just let it be a little finicky. Just spend the extra 5 minutes moving things the way you want them, and it's worth it. I'm using the pinch brush and the move brush and going back and forth. Remember, your base shapes, what I'm doing right now with no detail, is the most important part. The detail is the icing on top of the cake. If your cake is just made of mud and has too much salt, it's not gonna be great. No one wants that. Put good ingredients in your cake. All right, I don't like that they scooted up his arm a little bit. That's really easy to fix. I just grab my gizmo and just straight up, whoop, lower them a little bit. They also poofed out. I don't like that either. Oh yeah, this is one thing. So I have symmetry turned on, so when I do this, it kind of doesn't function the way that I'm wanting it to. So what I usually do when I'm working on either assets that are on limbs, I just have a single one. See how much better that actually works now? Anyway, I just do a single one and then mirror and weld after the fact. I'm really being finicky with this because he doesn't really have a whole lot going on with this character. So I'm gonna need the things that are added to him to actually look good. Okay, duplicate that. And let's see if I like it scooted up or down his arms at all. Yeah, I think the 2 wrappings is kind of cool. It feels very Darkest Dungeon to me. I think I can get these to fit by using the inflate brush. Yeah, see this to that was just one brush stroke, and I use inflate instead of move. You'll kind of figure out what brush is best for the job just by using it, and what you like to use isn't maybe what everyone else likes to use. So if you're new and you're watching tutorials, don't think you have to use that brush in that way. You might like using it in a different way. That being said, occasionally my students in my mentorship program will be like, I'm doing this, and I'll be like, don't do that. Don't do that. You're making your life so difficult. But for the most part, you can you can always experiment. And for the most part, you might come across something that you really like, and it's worth it. I very, very rarely tell my students, don't do that. That's a bad way to do that. And it doesn't even have to do with just efficiency or whatever. It's usually a combination of like, this doesn't even look as good as the way you could get it to look with less effort. So it's a combination of 2 things. All right, I kind of made them into hand wraps a little bit. And I just think they look cool. I think that's a really fun base there. Kind of playing with the contrast slider. Didn't find anything that I liked. Great, there we go. All right, I think we need some layers on the hips. So I'm gonna duplicate the pants and then cut off some sections here. This is the kind of stuff that's hardest for me to teach, where it's like, why am I doing this right now? I thought the silhouette just kind of looked like a man in tights. And I was like, what's something I could do that'd be more interesting? I'm like, well, I can add some skins to his hip. It would still look Barbarian-esque, and it would be something that's more interesting to paint. So I'm gonna cut a new shape right here. And then same thing with the shirt. Just kind of looks like a little shirt. It's really boring. And I like this stitch detail right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and add that onto my character. So what I'm doing is I'm masking a stripe down the front of the shirt. I really want to go all the way. Okay, it doesn't want to do that. That's fine. I can use my Z-modeler brush instead, and I can simply go to delete polyloop. Bam, that does the exact same thing I wanted. Great. Now that I have a little bit of a chest moment, I will manually pull this over to get that shape. I could have sculpted it on to create like a fake crease. I do find usually if you actually make it like a real thing, it tends to look better. But sometimes faking it is way faster, so that's fine too. Just Lingual says, Mia, I want to sculpt at 10 million poly. See, that's the shit that my students do that I'm like, stop it. Just lingual. We have some stuff cooking in the tabard that was partly inspired from you specifically. You mentioned to me that our Discords are the only place that you share your art. And because of that, we got a whole thing in the works now to kind of capitalize on that and encourage more people to share their art and all that kind of good stuff. It is a work in progress, but it's going to be really cool. All right, I want to make this shawl thing. So I'm going to mask this. Lower the subdivision levels and extract it at 0 thickness. We got 2 minutes left on the clock, so we were able to block out this entire character in 15 minutes. It's funny, like it feels so slow, and then like 15 minutes passed and I'm like, oh wow, would you look at that? Neato. I wonder if I can use that move infinite depth thing to get something interesting here. I don't think so, because I need it to curve, so I'm not gonna try, because I don't see it working out in my head. We're gonna use our standard brush, which is really the only way that I make fabric folds. I keep it really, really simple. And the biggest thing here when we're doing fabric folds and we want it to look interesting is you need plane changes. You need stuff that folds on each other. See, I'm having this kind of connect right here and then gently bringing that up. There we go. And that fabric fold can also branch off over here. And then where it looks all bad, the way that it connects, that's fine. I can fix that later. I just want the shape to be there. And I've got a rough plan in my mind. And it might look a little messy. That's fine. You can even just do like a really, really messy job throwing shapes on here and then clean it up afterwards. That's also totally fine. Just don't be boring. Make sure you get some plane changes in there. I don't even have any fabric that's really overlapping right now. I just get really close and it still will look like something. See? Watch out. And I can use this, the contrast slider actually makes it look too extreme, which makes me happy because every time I use the contrast slider, I'm happy that it looks good and like it's doing stuff, but it does, it's a note to myself that I'm like, I could have pushed those forms a little bit. There we go. So now I'm using my Flip Normal soft brush, which is like the same thing as the clay brush, to connect these fabric folds a little better. It's okay if it gets all skinny and weird right here. That's good. Don't fix everything. Sometimes you want some weirdness. This is a good spot for me to have like a fabric overlaying on itself. So let's see if I can use my Move Topological brush plus Mask Lasso to get that to actually fold on itself. See? I just do it strategically every now and then. I don't do it all the time because it would take forever and I don't want to spend a whole stream sculpting a piece of fabric. If you want to do that, do that. It can be really fun. It can be really zen. I don't do that because this is my job. And I make 4 complete characters, creatures, whatever the mixture is that week, every single week. So it doesn't really benefit me to take forever to make one piece. All right, I'm gonna duplicate this whole shebang I have here and then start to kind of find some interesting shapes and some layering coolness. There's one piece, I'm gonna duplicate it again. I'm gonna stretch it with the gizmo and then pull this right here. And then you can't even really tell that it was the same piece anymore, which I love, that's my favorite. This little piece right here, is fucking with the silhouette. Silhouette is everything, seriously. So that's the before, that's the after. I have strong opinions on that. I don't really care so much about the rest of it. It just needs to look like cool fabric. Just needs to do fabric-y stuff. There we go. We have a thing that looks like a thing, don't we? Oh, I'm so happy with that. That looks really good. Yay. This has been fun. Full character stream. All right, I'm very, very happy with that. How are we gonna make that 3D printable? We're just gonna add like edge loops to it at the end, but I don't care right now. I just want cool shapes, cool stuff. I also want the body to stay a lighter color. Ew, not that color. There we go. It just makes it a little easier to see as we're working. It's in contrast. Why can I not make a sole to a shoe? That's a consistent problem for me. Why? I'm thinking. This is not a poll. This is a rhetorical question, just for me. Because it's interesting. Like, I can do other things that are very complicated, but this is something I consistently kind of have an issue with. I bet you it's because I'm tackling all of one piece, and that never works for literally anything else that I do. So, instead of drawing the seams, we're gonna split the shoe into multiple pieces. Let's see. Again, I can sculpt shoes. I've sculpted very nice shoes many times, but I can't do them fast. I can't do them like loosey-goosey, and I want to. Because if I can't do something like easily, I find that my students definitely can't, and then I can't teach it. So yeah, that's a big motivation to why I want to get better at things and faster. It's not just like the hustle, the grind. No, it's just like, if I'm having trouble with it and breaking it down, I know it's tricky for other people too, and I want to be able to, I want to be the best. I want to be the very best when it comes to teaching. Okay, that's cheesy, but it's true. All right, we got a bit of our weird moccasin shape here, but I am starting to see the shoe a little bit better than I normally do. I like that. That does make me happy. And then this should come down. Because there's different parts to the shoe. I can probably use my orb flattened edge to kind of get me some planes in here. Yeah, very good. Just Lingual says, I currently manually sculpt edge loops because I haven't learned how to make them yet. That fills me with fear. What are you talking about? What do you mean you manually sculpt edge loops? Okay, we're stopping everything. All right, so we have this panel of fabric, right? And it doesn't exist. That's why when I rotate it, it goes away. When I say edge loops, because I barely know what I'm talking about with edge loops versus panel loops versus group loops, because I do this for 3D modeling, or sorry, 3D printing. I'm kind of like the same way that I play piano. My sense of rhythm is I am a soloist, I'm a pianist, I do whatever I want. I kind of have that approach to with sculpting a little bit. So if my terminology is wrong, I apologize. But anyway, these lines, when it comes from the top all the way down, that line is an edge loop. So that's why, like right here, if I insert an edge loop, here's another one. So it fills me with fear when you say I sculpt them manually. What are you talking about? Like, you detail it and then you draw a line like that. Either way, if you're talking about adding trim manually, that also hurts me. There's two ways you can add trim really, really quickly. I'm going to show you how right now. Step 1, curve brush. Teaching mode time. To add trim, you can go to stroke. Here, one second. I always forget where things are at. Go to stroke, frame, mesh. For this, it's single-sided. As long as border is turned on, it will work. There's now a dotted line that has appeared. You can now use a curve snap brush, because it's a curve brush. Bam, there's trim. Or you can use any curve brush. I can go to curve tube. Bam, now you have trim. If you change the size of your brush, it changes the size of your trim. Another way you could do this is going to your Z modeler brush, Shift F so you can see your polys, and then you're going to extrude polygroup island or polygroup all. and then just pull out a little bit, and now you have thickness. Here's the before, here's the after. Now this little delicious yellow border here will be the thickness of, you know, the edge of your model. So I hold spacebar over this edge here, not the edge, the middle of the polygon. It does matter. Go to extrude polyloop. You can click and drag out, and then click and drag out again. And bam, you have trim again. When you subdivide, it will round off. If you don't want that to happen, crease it. You can sculpt stuff by hand. I do it all the time. It's not an issue, but it should not be the only way you can do things. There we go. So there's an example of what that's going to look like really, really quickly. Which Just Lingual says, I also manually sculpt the trim. Oh, God. Yep, so I know what they are and need to fix the topologies so I can work with sculpting bands. However, so don't. This is not literate. This is incoherent, Just Lingual. Yep, so I know what they are and need to fix the topologies so that I can work with sculpting bands. However, so don't. I mask and sculpt along the lines versus use them. What? Just Lingual is one of my mentorship students, so I can torture them. That was incoherent. But I got a little bit of it. Anyway, if you have questions, let me know. I hope that was helpful about how to do trim and that kind of thing. That was I'm hoping a really fantastic autocorrect moment or speech to text moment. I also gave you way harder of a time than I probably needed to. Guys, Just Lingual's not gonna be my friend anymore. I hurt their feelings. I got distracted, so now we're detailing these little leather bits really quick. See how fast the detailing is if you construct things nicely? That's why I'm always like, I know it's boring, just let it look blocked out for at least a little bit. If you're like me, those look like little blobs. I know. Brace, you're okay. I always think it's funny, and I'm talking to my students, really. I'm not talking to viewers. The viewers are really cute. I know you guys think that all of this is just witchcraft, and you're like, wow. And I love that. But my students, I know, get so impatient with themselves, and sometimes me being like, oh, but it doesn't look like anything yet. You must layer. You must work in layers. There's an onion joke in here somewhere. All right, so I used my layer brush. That's funny. My layer brush, I changed the alpha to this texture here, and then I changed this to drag rectangle. So now when I click and drag, it puts on a little, like, I don't know, leathery texture. And I can kind of scribble it on here. It kind of reads like leather. And if you're still like, oh, it's not leather enough, I agree. I like to go back through with orb cracks, and then I kind of start adding some, like, I don't like that. No. Anyway, there we go. Start adding some bigger cracks through it, and mostly just because, again, this is for 3D printing and it really does a nice job. If you really want to mess up that edge, grab your knife lasso brush. Make sure you don't have subdivision levels turned on, and make sure your polys aren't too high, otherwise it will crash. I'm at 140,000, I'm pushing it, but it's fine. And now I can kind of like cut out some little sections here, and I can go back through and smooth them. And then you got like a nice little like hide on their hip. Isn't that cool? I don't know what the hell happened there. There we go. You can even kind of just like scribble a little line. Maybe. It's not about how straight the line is, how perfectly smooth everything is. It's about how you layer stuff up. So you have your base shape, and then your secondary forms, and then your fine details, and how they all play together. Like if I were to grab like pay for a really expensive alpha of like skin pores, like really high detail, ultra 8K, whatever, and I throw that on a rock, like it's not gonna make sense. Like there must be a face that you built up underneath it. So just paying for a very expensive detail brush is not gonna make your art any better. There you go. I really should have detailed this all the way before I duplicated it a bunch of times. So I'll just do that again. Duplicate mirror. It can be nice to detail things independently. You get a very loved on look, but I don't want to do that. Look at his funny little feet. I forgot what I was doing. Okay. Wendelier. Skin rock. I hate that. You're welcome. Just lingual. Sorry, I was in class and got called out. Just lingual, what is going on? So for more context, Just Lingual's been around for a long time. I harass them, it's great. But like the name Just Lingual, because like they're passionate about like linguistics and language. So it's even funnier that they just said I was in classes. What is going on? So I'm no longer lingual, just illiterate. Just illiterate. Oh, you're cracking me up. You're cracking me up. Just lingual, what is in that drink, right? Right? Blind chatting. That's great. That's great. I think I can reuse these armbands for the shoes. So I'm gonna try. I'm gonna duplicate them. I'm gonna grab just one section. We're gonna unify it into the middle of my scene. Flip it again, flip it one more time. Make it a little bit smaller, and then we're gonna kind of evaluate the shape here. That doesn't look leg shaped to me. That's a little more leg shaped. Let's see if I can taper it. Ooh, very leg shaped. All right, I think I can throw these on the shoes and it's gonna look like a something. Tapered way too much. Sad. All right, we're going to use our move brush to fix the things I goofed up. Actually, we're just gonna delete that bottom band because I just don't think it's gonna work. Both of these bands. Oh, that's what I did for the hands. That's why. Yeah, go away. But these, I think I can reuse. So I shall. Can I create a gap here so it's visible and legible? Yes, very good. I really try to use the gizmo and deformers rather than manually moving stuff around organically when it comes to stuff that kind of has hard surface elements, like it's interacting with another body or another object. Otherwise you get this kind of like lumpy effect going on. You must be careful. All right, that does look kind of cool. This does not. That I already like so much more. He's just got little pig legs. I'm gonna find a way to make shoes that's gonna be like Bob Ross level, straightforward, simple, do this, 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 this. Because sculpting faces and sculpting shoes are always what, like, I get the most busted submissions for my assignments for my students. But I'm like their teacher, so I would like to do better for them. All right, mirror and weld. I'm gonna duplicate this. We're gonna create this in 3 different sections. That might be another way I can kind of simplify that. It's really funny. And I have had students that have made really good shoes, following tutorials I've made before, but I don't know. I feel like it's something that I can improve. The reason why I'm doing 3 sections, because that's how I sculpt feet. Simple as that. You got your heel section, the arch, and the toe. I get confused because shoes aren't necessarily foot-shaped. This looks really funny. Kind of just messing with it, but we'll see what I end up doing. Because now I have a lot of control over what I'm going to add or remove. And then maybe I could have like a little like shoe factory tool that I can share with my students. It's like based on these 3 components, you can build any kind of shoe, like a stiletto versus a sneaker versus whatever. Because it can be a lot easier to work from something instead of nothing. I do that all the time. I call them emotional support sculpts. Sometimes I'll import my old work into a ZBrush scene and then just work next to it. And we got like a little heel. This is already very funny to me, and it kind of is working, honestly. And that's going to be more flush, and then that's going to be at an angle. I am constructing a shoe without a foot, and it kind of works. Notice that I kind of just come back to it each time. And again, it's partly because, again, I've sculpted shoes, blah, 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 blah. But I've never done it in a way that I think was like infallible to follow. There was still too much feel involved, and that is the worst. When you're trying to learn from someone who's like, yeah, you just do a little bit of this, and it's like perfect. And you're like, how do you have that feeling? And they're just like, practice more. And I'm like, okay. I find that's rarely the answer, is simply just practice more, honestly. When you just practice more, hoping you're going to get better one day, what ends up happening is sometimes your art is very successful and sometimes it is not. And you don't know why. And it kind of just feels like throwing yourself at a wall over and over and over again, which most people don't like that. That already looks way more structured and like a thing. They're funny looking, but they look a hell of a lot better than I did before. So, neat. Also, look how skinny his legs are. Oops, I didn't look at him from this side. To fix that, I'll do move and back face mask and just, there you go. There's the volume. Hey, new subscriber, thank you. Just Lingual says, Mia was being bad English today. I should have skipped school and BF take nap. You should have BF take nap, just Lingual. Aloha says, a lot of shoes have subtle pointed ends and pointed ends to them that help with the blocky look. I always forget to do that till the last one. I hear you. Right? They say practice makes perfect, but then I heard nobody's perfect. So I stopped practicing. Stephen Wright. That's silly. That cracks me up. Yeah, like this right here shouldn't be there. Let's round that off. And then I can use my Move Topological brush to kind of add a bit of a point there. There we go. Those shoes are still so tiny. He's got the little feet. There we go. That's better. All right, more details, more stuff, more thing. We're gonna work on the shirt. And I want these little band things. So to create that, I'm gonna import a sphere. Make it really small. I'm pretty much gonna do this the same way that I create claws. I'm gonna taper it on both sides instead, and then I'm not gonna add a bend to it. I lied. I am going to add a bend to it. I'm going to go to bend arc and just a little curve. Excellent. Z-remesh by half, just to kind of get it really low poly. I want to see if it will smooth out my shape for me a little bit so I don't have to. Not really. There we go. That's all I wanted. Great. We'll put one clip right here and one clip right here, just like the Darkest Dungeon character. There's little things like that that you can kind of start seeing the similarities. And again, we're not making the Darkest Dungeon character, we're making something that's inspired. So far it's pretty damn similar, but it's a little different. Kind of bored by this belt shape. Let's make it a little skinnier. What would I do to make you more interesting? It needs like the little excess. So what I'm going to do is to duplicate this belt, grab this extra little section, delete hidden, inflate it so it's off the character just a touch. Stop. It's just me talking to ZBrush. Don't worry about it. We're having a discussion. All right, just a touch, and then kind of pull this little band off. It's such a small detail, and it's so worth it. And then from here, I can use my transpose line and kind of just make it drag a little bit. Excellent. Anything that's perfectly straight or parallel with the ground always looks weird. When in doubt, just grab something and make it a little crooked. There we go. Great. Now I'm going to close holes on this and I'm going to extrude a couple loops. I'm going to make them really exaggerated, not that exaggerated, pretty exaggerated, and then subdivide, and they're going to round off on themselves. I do the same thing for this. Dynamic. There we go. Apply. And then for this, I'm going to have to get a little cheeky with it. Maybe I'll just do like a little band right here. Not like that. No. There you go. Because I kind of want to draw attention to it. Excellent. Another little thing I'm going to do here is Dynamesh this belt buckle here, and then go in my Orbs crack brush and just add a little bit of damage. It's something that's so small, but I really started to enjoy adding stuff like this to my characters recently. Bam. Back to our layer brush. Add a little bit more detail. It's gonna look a lot like the hip flap things. Technical name. I don't like that this is rounding off so much. Stop it. I got two things I can do. I can crease it, or I can just make these poly loops even more exaggerated. I'm going to opt for that because that's how I constructed the rest of the belt, and I do want it to look as similar as possible. There we go, some messiness, great. Now let's see if we can detail the pants. I'm gonna subdivide a bunch. I'm gonna go to the side of the pants and then put some seams in there. I have some really nice seam brushes. I'm gonna make it very, very large so it's noticeable. And this one's all kind of like ripped up, which is great. And it's really gonna suit this character. I'm gonna go on the inside of the leg as well. If it's really starting to tear a lot because you're at a weird angle, you can just hide the polys and then get in there. This looks kind of funny because you're just like sculpting on a flat surface, but it's easier to do this now and then add the fabric folds. Gonna add a few stitches here and there. And if you're wondering, it's like, well, Mia, how do I know when I add these, like, because this is technically a finer detail before secondary forms. I'm trying to think of like a rule I can give you guys. This one doesn't really have a rule. It's because if I add these details, look at these tiny little butt pockets. If I add these details after the fact, they're going to tear with the folds and it's gonna look weird. As opposed to like this, I can now run a fabric fold over the top of it and it deforms the way that it's supposed to. All right, fabric fold time for pants. I like starting with places that have compression. So like around the crotch. This is so perfectly smooth and weird. I really need to like Don't make it weird, but it shouldn't be perfectly smooth. All right. Spots of compression. This would stretch just a bit. More tension folds. Man, it's kind of both right here. It looks so funny having this, but nowhere else any folds. Let's make that a lighter brush. And these two lines right here are so harsh, it looks really weird. My husband's been playing The Witcher 3 again for like the 100th time, and peasant clothes in like the crotchal region, it looks so weird in like a diaper, and so that's kind of why it's looking like that right now. Because these aren't jeans, I'm doing kind of like more of this heavy cloth. One of these days, Mia will conquer shoes. Yeah, I want to do it in a way that's like efficient and followable, you know? Like a recipe book. All right, here's some of my favorite fabric folds to do. Really crank up that intensity. Play with your brush a little bit to make sure you have the size that you want, and then make sure you go in with a plan. So I want this to kind of spill over these boots, and I kind of want them to come back together. There we go. Like this fabric fold right here, love that. If you get really good at sculpting fabric folds, your characters will look more interesting, I swear. There's something that's just satisfying and feels tangible about convincing fabric folds. That's why there's whole programs dedicated to them, like simulating them, like Marvel's Designer. I get that, people ask me that somewhat often, like, why don't you just simulate all your fabric folds? Because it takes too goddamn long. Not because like, oh, my computer needs to be faster. It's like for a simulation to work and be accurate, there's so much setup. Oh my God, there's so much setup. And I rarely find I have not found it to be worth the time. It's just a for fun thing is how I've kind of handled it. Right now I'm kind of adding these bigger, baggier fabric folds all the way down just to kind of disrupt this smoothness here. It's almost like surface noise. Again, this funny like diaper effect that's happening. I don't like it, but it does look the way I want it to. So yeah, especially when it's posed, it's gonna look great. All right, where are your knees, good sir? There they are. Let's draw a line here, draw a line there. Back to these stronger fabric folds. Those are some nice pants. Very nice. Very pant. When in doubt, when you're drawing your fabric folds, kind of add like a little shake to your hand, almost like you're really cold. And you'll get some more interesting shapes. See what I mean? And then from that, I'll kind of like follow things through in a way that I think makes sense. See? Aloha, did you see that? If not, rewind like 10 seconds and come back. Because you did fabric folds like this, and I don't know. I know you spent a lot of time. And they look great, but I feel like what I did right there might help speed you up or have something click a little bit. Unless your process looked exactly like that, then carry on. And then what really helps with fabric like this is go back in without symmetry turned on and add a couple extra ones. Not even a lot, just anything to make it not perfectly symmetrical goes so far. Bam, pants. Do you re-evaluate fabric folds post-posing? Yup. Why do you not do it after posing then? Because it's not that much cleanup usually. When it's something that's integral to the design is the fabric fold, what does that mean? Like an evening gown or a cape. Then yeah, I don't even bother until it's done. We're gonna come back through and kind of add some cracks to these. It really does come together. You just gotta trust it. You can do it. All right, add some thickness to this. Now I'm going to subdivide, and now I'm gonna add fabric folds. More fabric folds. Without symmetry turned on, because it's not a symmetrical piece. Right, in this exact spot. I will turn symmetry on pretty soon. See, my fabric folds could be a little stronger here. Here you go. If you want to mumble on some of your design, that's fine. If you're not really sure about, maybe you want to add horns to the character, but you're not sure, so you make them really tiny or whatever it is, that's fine. But when it comes to stuff that's structural and non-negotiable, like fabric folds are going to be on fabric, don't mumble. Get in there. They don't have to make sense. I'm adding some like weird back panel thing on here. I think it looks cool. I have the stitches at least connecting to each other. The little butt pockets are so funny to me, and no, I will not change them. All right, I'm turning symmetry on because he has two armpits and there's a shirt on both of them. When you are sculpting thick fabric, then have thick fabric folds. When it's thin, make them thin. If it's medium, make them medium size. I don't know what fabric density I really want here, so I'm doing kind of a medium. I think it's gonna be kind of a thin leather deal going on. So I'm just adding some stretching, just a little bit, and then I'm gonna blanket it with that texture and see if I like it. All right, we're gonna let that just be a mess. Texture, texture, fold, fold. Great. And now I come back in with the layer brush. I want this to be more of a small noise thing going on, so I'm really not gonna, I don't care if that shows up super clear 3D printed, just the fact that it's there at all, it will create some surface noise, which is great. That's what I want. Great. It's looking like a character. It is coming together. It is happening. I duplicate this and make a more interesting belt in some way. It's kind of unnecessary, but I don't hate it. It's a bit of a more is more just for the sake of more. I'm not against it. Merging all the pieces of his belt down, which I somehow grabbed his skin by accident. Whoops. Stop it. There we go. When you change your brush to the knife rectangle brush, it's the default for Command Shift is usually the rectangle brush. When you change it to knife, it can get kind of weird when you select things. So every now and then you have to come back in here and go back to the default, which is like trim rectangle or whatever. There, and then it'll work. Because before, see how I was grabbing like a single line in topology? I don't know. It's just funny ZBrush things. Here we go. I am not going to figure out how to make that 3D printable until the very, very end. We are just not going to deal with that. Not because it's going to be that big of a deal. I just don't want to do that right now, so I'm not going to. It's pretty rare that you have to do things in a certain order. It's generally pretty flexible. Generally. And even if it's not like the most efficient way to do something, that's fine. Hey monkey, welcome in. Welcome in. Everybody's brain cells are going out the door. Yeah, I think like today's feels like my Monday. All right, we're going to detail these bands as well. Now I'm keeping these ones really simple. But I don't want them completely structureless, so let's throw a couple fabric folds on there. There we go. Said I wasn't gonna go crazy with it, and then I was like, now it feels uninspired. Don't want that. And you can just be messy. That's okay. That kind of goes for all things in life, honestly. Because I wasn't going to add any of this, and now that I just kind of scribbled in some lines, it looks way better. I know it's not interacting with his hands quite right, but I'm going to give him a weapon and stuff, so. There we are. Perfect. Just a little something. Little contrast slider. Also feels kind of Darkest Dungeon-y. Perfect. I'm glad I templated out a shoe. I'm happy with it. We're moving on. I'm gonna grab a shoe I've sculpted before. I think trying to sculpt shoes quickly is similar to trying to sculpt hair quickly. You don't. You structure it well and you don't cut corners. Simple as that. There we are. Bam. Pretty similar in shape to what I was going for anyway, which is fun. I will grab those bands in case I want to use them. But I kind of like what's already there. There we go. Shoes. See how many subtleties are going on here to make this look good? Even this could use some love. I really need to redo a lot of these. There we go. There we go. That's already a little improvement. Good. Awesome. If anyone has brain cells left, it's Mia. It's true. Mia's working. I've been so focused on today's stream and just cooking, I have all the brain cells today. I'm gonna detail these the exact same way that I detailed the armbands, because they're pretty much the same thing. And what's cool about this is I haven't Dynameshed anything down, so it's still really modular and easy to move around. Because again, making stuff asymmetrical, oh, it goes so far. It really, really does. I'm just gonna delete the subdivision levels entirely and remove one of those bands, make it really obviously asymmetrical. Heck yeah, check that out. Good. Gonna merge all of that down. And now we're gonna remesh by union. What does that do? Not with symmetry. That's just gonna take any pieces of the mesh that are intersecting, because for example, the shoes are a separate piece and so are those wraps. So where they intersect, I have now remeshed into one piece, which means I cannot grab just the band anymore. See, it is now part of it. Why would you do that? It reduces the poly count. It makes stuff just a little bit more efficient for what I'm doing. And then for 3D printing, it makes it watertight. This is not the only way to make it watertight. You could also Dynamesh. You could also Boolean. It's pretty much the same thing. I'm pretty sure remesh by union is just a Boolean. All right, cool. He's looking very charactery. I feel like I want him to look even more haggard. Kind of want to like, I don't know. Can't get too crazy with the hair without it just connecting back to the head in some way. Otherwise, it's a little bit of a 3D printing nightmare, and that's not what we do around here. What if, I feel like his mustache is just limiting. There we go. That little tweak on his mustache, I quite like. And then I am gonna pull up the volume. Damn it. Crash. I was vibing. Just on his chin. I haven't mentioned it yet, but thanks for hanging out with me. We've had a ton of people here the whole time, and it's just awesome. Having a really good time. All right, that looks good. That's good, good. Kind of just checking on things. I'm getting ready to pose. Or at least like a rough posing pass. I think that's good. Yes, yes, yes. Don't need all my shoes anymore. And then he does need a weapon. I don't think I have a club. I am making him more of a barbarian. So I'm not sure if I am gonna give him that club for two reasons. One, because I don't know, I'm not sure if this is, I don't wanna get too close to the Darkest Dungeon character. I feel like this was pretty freaking similar. It's not so much just like an IP concern, it's just like how uncreative, you know? I want to make a barbarian version of this. So what I've done is I have made his arms visible. We're actually going to beat up his arms a little bit because I think that's fun. Yeah. And then what do barbarians use other than like, I always think like a big hammer or just punching. I mean, that's more monk-esque, but this is a little too dark probably, but I do like this mace a lot. I really like this. I think this is really awesome. I might give him this because if I decide to change it out with this, you know, but with the maul instead, or this hammer, whatever you want to call it, There's a word for it. I can't think of it. Bat. That's the word. Anyway, it's going to be about the same size and it will fit. I just think that this weapon suits him. I think it's really cool. Can he have a club that looks suspiciously like a chair leg? No. Oh, I accidentally closed Discord. I'm unreachable right now. There we go. I'm laughing. I saw Just Singles meme in the Discord. All right. Weapon. Shoe. Shoe. I have to change the name of some of these, otherwise Transpose Master gets angry at me sometimes. Not always. I'm gonna keep the pose pretty similar to this. I just like it. Simple, gets the job done. There's Hunter spelled with a Y. How's that? All right, we're going to pose. This is how I pose. First, I'm gonna copy and paste the tool in case I bork up the pose and I'm sad about it. Second, I'm gonna go to Z plugin, Transpose Master, T-Pose Mesh. Some prep I did before this is making sure none of my subtools have the same name. And then also, what else? Oh, making sure things that are really high poly have subdivision levels. All right, now it's pose time. I like to keep the head generally kind of straightish, just for the beginning. And then obviously do not have symmetry turned on. I'm gonna kind of make him a little more hunched. So I'm gonna push that head forward a little bit. There we go. I'm gonna grab this weapon and kind of start to find the silhouette here. I do a lot of work in just black when I'm doing the silhouette. And I change in and out of perspective a lot too. If you don't know what perspective is and how that works in ZBrush, let me know. I want to have a clear silhouette. That will be roughly right there. All right, this posing legs time. This leg comes out a little bit, turning off perspective. I'm gonna do this one first because it makes more sense to me. We're gonna grab kind of by his butt and then this shoe. I'm not worried about the belt. I'm actually gonna just hide it entirely. Next, I'm going to grab my transpose line. Oh, I didn't grab his body. I need that. I need the body. There we go. Transpose line with rotate turned on and just kind of move this out. I'm not worried about the fabric getting all screwed up, and I'm not worried about the shoes really. Really not worried about anything except for big silhouette changes. And every time I do a change, I push it a little further. One day, I feel like I won't have to do that, but we're not there yet. I still don't push things quite far enough the first time. So again, I made a change, and now I gotta go a little further. Not even a lot, a little bit. When Delier says, the best way to pose would be to print the unposed mini, cut it up, and glue it back together. That's insane. I love that. All right, next, we need to hunch him forward. Though I kind of, you know what? No, I like this. He's kind of hot, you know, with this like strong posture here, much more barbarian. We're gonna go with that. This is gonna be like Thor's half-bred cousin. Yeah. I need to twist the body or torso in some way. I can fake it, do a little test of that by just taking the belt and just swooshing it one way or another to kind of imply it. If that leg was out, it'd be lower, so it would go that way. The leathers are so just like a little extra thing. They're not even acting as secondary forms right now, so I'm not gonna pay attention to them. I'm gonna lower his head and add the smallest little tilt, really important. All right, I gotta move his arms now. I don't care about feet. I don't care about hands. Big limbs first. Move limbs, move torso, and don't even think about little extremities like hands and feet until you know what you're doing. All right, this body is 600,000 polys, which means I screwed that up. I was supposed to build subdivision levels back into this, but I forgot. I don't think I have to fix anything right now. I just have to hide these really ugly bends and transitions. I can do that. I'm good at that. I love hiding mistakes. That's why I'm gonna grab the mask kind of into his body a little bit where his shirt is gonna cover it up, because what's happening is I'm getting bends like this. See what I mean? Which will happen regardless, but when it's really high poly, it's just, ugh. It's okay. I make mistakes all the time. If you want to use a 3D gizmo, use a 3D gizmo. You don't have to use a transpose line. A lot of my students think the transpose line is pure evil. And to be fair, I did too for a long time. Notice that when I am masking things, I'm very intentional of like what muscle groups I'm preserving. Because the elbow's gonna get fucked regardless, so I'm not even gonna worry about that. But I don't have to destroy his bicep in the process. And I also don't care what's going on with, again, the hand rotation, because your hand by itself can rotate a pretty good amount. I know it is moving a decent amount down here too. Where is that? But it's really just, it's more subtle. It's really just from your top of your forearm up. So I can adjust that later. I'm actually gonna have him holding this a little more upright. I'm a little concerned that I've done this pose 100 times, and then I have to remember I have over 1,200 models. Pose repeats are gonna happen. It's okay. All right, and this is what I call a barely passable, acceptable pose, because he's a little stiff. So we gotta just kind of like move everything down. Now I'm gonna like squash him with gravity. Gonna do a little bit of backward posing if it will work, if it will let me. Sometimes what I like to do is just grab the feet, keep the feet where they're at, swing the whole model back, and then I can kind of mess around with like knees and bending and that kind of stuff. I don't think I actually want to do that for this specific model, but it is something you can do. Thinking. I think I actually have to fix the feet first. Yeah, I do. All right, so we're gonna square off the feet first, and then that will kind of help me and guide me to where I'm gonna move the rest of the body. I need to be careful with all this hiding and showing, because ZBrush is gonna be like, that was one too many clicks in quick succession, I crash. And the feet will clean up the pose a little bit, but it won't make the pose more interesting. It's just gonna make what you have not look broken. What do I want? I want him to lumber forward. I can do that. That's a really simple question I asked myself just now that I don't think my students do enough. They just do a lot of sculpting. They'll do something and then they'll see if they like it or not. And I'm like, well, what were you trying to do? And I love when they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, then why did you do it? And it sounds snarky and sassy, partly because it is, but genuinely, just what are you trying to do before you sculpt? Just think, what am I doing? What am I doing? I like that a little more. It's still not enough. It's still not enough. I didn't do that thing where I push it a little farther because I think it looks broken. But it never does. By the time that I'm done with the pose, I'm always like, that's a nice pose. And I don't care if these feet aren't level. If I need to, I'll just put a rock under there. All right, I'm going to grab a lot of the character right now. Nope, not his whole body. I'm gonna grab him right at the hip torso area. I want to do more posing like this on stream because it takes me like 30-45 minutes and I don't see any posing content really online, like at all. Or they use a different software or they rig or something, or it's like a really easy character, you know what I mean? And I get it, they're not trying to do tutorials or whatever. I just wish there was more out there for people to reference. There we go. See how like less boring this is looking now? Yeah. Cool. We do have some, I'm talking like just lingual now. It's happening. Oh no. We do have some weird skinny man proportions going on that weren't there before. There we go. I'm like, where does hips go? I found it. This belt is gonna need to get mirrored to balance well. And I'm just not gonna deal with it right now. Usually what I do is I do like a rough pass and then I clean up and then I go back and refine it, but I'm getting really fast at posing, so I can do more steps all at once. I'm gonna do another adjustment here, which is gonna be a little harder. I wanna grab the top of his torso and bend it down. I don't know if I'm gonna like it though, so I'm gonna just do a really rough test like that. I don't think I like that. Not really. Move that foot over a touch, move that over a touch. This is gonna be a fist, so it's not gonna be just like hand out. It's gonna make more sense. And then this isn't being affected by gravity, which is unfortunate. And I also feel like maybe it needs to be more like this. I will literally just take my move brush and start pushing stuff around to kind of think, what do I want? All right, I can't figure anything else out quite right now. So I'm going to go back to my detailed pieces where all my subtools are independent and then kind of tweak them. Kind of see what we got going on. Because the hands are just, I can't see past the open hands everywhere. It's just like, this is my weapon. Like, it's just driving me crazy. And that's okay. Whenever you get hung up on something, go fix it. You can usually just do a literal fist, and that'd be fine. And again, I think my approach would be like, oh, I want to be able to do shoes like really quickly and easily. It's the same way like I don't do hands. I don't pose hands from scratch every time. That would be violently inefficient and awful. We just know what shoes look like too much to just try to whip up a nice shoe in 10 minutes. Oh, I kind of want to give him double axes now. Kind of. Ugh, I don't like what's happening with his leg. What happened? But there's a lot that I do like. Really quick, what would this look like if I gave him 2 weapons? Because it's the empty fist is kind of weird. I feel like he needs something. It's kind of cool. It has potential. Again, this belt needs to be mirrored because that pack, see how much better it looks on that other hip? And then where are all those other leathers? Ah, there they are. I found them. I'm gonna split them in different subtools because they need to be moved around quite a bit. I am unsure if this pose needs another pass or if it's just gonna kind of all come together. Sometimes it does that. You'll notice that as I go on, I kind of start breaking subtools down, like now each of the shoes are their own piece, that kind of thing. So it's easier for me to grab them and then push that pose even further. This head tilt is weird. It needs to be the other way, yeah. And then his shoulders are stacked over his hips, which is causing a lot of problems. Part of it's because I have this luscious shawl thing and I can't decide what I want to do with it. So let me just hide it and then I can move the body around. Get in there, neck. I do like a lot about this pose. Just needs some shaping. Yeah. I'm gonna make everything visible and then rotate it. We're gonna find a nice alpha angle here, which is kind of like the glamour shot, if you will. And then that's how I decide like in what way the axes are rotated. It's just whatever is most pleasing to the silhouette. It's cool. The dual axes look great. Thank you. Love the Barbarian vibe. Thank you. Yeah, I like it. Just Lingual says, I pose using random online posers that destroy my details in topology. So this would be useful. Aren't you still like an actively paying student, or did you cancel? I didn't notice. Not that I'd be hurt. You're hurting me. I am this resource that I think you are paying for. You should ask me more questions and don't do crazy shit like that. Bad. Otaka said, kids are to bed, so now I can actually watch. Huzzah. Where are his little chest clippies? Oh, there. All right, the shoulders being the same height is causing me physical pain. Why can't I figure out what way these would go? All right, I need to go do the pose. I don't understand it. I don't understand. I need something to step on. There, here's the box. So he's got his foot up on a thing, and he's got that. My switch box is just collapsing. Got this out, and then he's like this. Like this? What the don't want to do that. Oh, no shit. Okay, this feels better, more tucked back. Oh, there we go. This. Kind of mean this. Okay. This. And then my wrists are both straight. Do your poses. I know this is like really stupid and silly, but like seriously. And then his head is tilted towards his straight leg. Really? No, it's towards the other one. It's like, come at me, bro, kind of thing. Okay, that was really hard to step on that thing. Get to work. Fuck. There we go. The shoulders are square when I was doing that. That's weird. What? Like that? Okay. But my hips weren't square. There we go. The hips don't lie, guys. I need to hide everything so I can see the hips. I know if you guys are like, this is so dumb, like you can't even see the hips. I'm like, well, no. But I can move the belt to give this. There we go. Oh my gosh, why was that so hard? See, that doesn't make sense. That makes sense. This leg is going up, so it's gonna push that belt up. I need you guys to understand that like I don't make these changes for stuff to be technically correct. I don't give a fuck if things are correct. I sculpt minotaurs and dragons. But when there's a functional correctness, believableness, there, you know, it feels more tangible, and that's cool. That's what I'm going for. I just think that's really important to clarify, because I think some of my students have a meltdown trying to be correct, and it's not fun. It's not fun to think like that when you're creating art. It's not fun at all. And it's not what we're doing. So good. I feel like he needs tassels. You know what I mean? Like, there just needs to be something in the wind. No, stop it. That needs to be smaller. That is correct in the way it's falling. The shoulders are pretty square. That is acceptable. Okay. All right, all right. I like it. Be cute. Oh yeah, and the wrists, when I did this pose, I realized they don't really twist. They are rotated in more. Yeah, that looks way better. That makes way more sense. Cool. That allows me to get that axe silhouette that I want to. This arm does need to bend up a little bit, but that's pretty small potatoes. I'm gonna push this elbow out a little bit. Cool. And then he needs a little rock or something to stand on. If you guys can think of something more interesting than a rock to stand on, let me know. I feel like a skull might be too metal. No such thing. Let me get a skull. It doesn't even have to be a human skull. Is that my husband? I hear him walking around. I think the ram skull can be really cool. It's like old English or medieval something, like when peasants were a thing. We watched a video on Wired, like how people used to talk. And that's why I say husband. Because like husband, weef, you live in your house. I just think it's so funny. It's this weird combination of like French and Old English, and it is so funny. So that's why I'm saying that. I think it'd be cool if like this was just ram skull just like buried into the ground a little bit. Let me turn off perspective really quick, throw a mask on there, and then hide that. Like, that's kind of cool. That's way cooler than a rock. Yeah. He's not really stepping very high up. Definitely move that. There we go. That looks better. What is this? Intentionalness in my sculpting? Yes. Just Lingual says, man, no. I do crazy stuff because I tend to focus on one skill at a time, then I throw other methods to the wind. Great. I now realize I could just ask a lot more questions though. It would be great if you could ask questions in the Ask M3DM Mentorship channel in our Discord because everyone else can see it and then it's like a big giant ad for my mentorship program at the same time. And a lot of students asked me the same questions in a DM and I'm like, if you guys would just ask your questions publicly, you could help each other. Very cool. There isn't enough variation to the fabric here. He's too smooth. Too smooth. All right, something else I realized is that this foot would have to be bent forward. Yep. I'm like, that's not possible now that I'm looking at it. Neat. And again, I don't care for the reasons you might think. I remember I did a whole stream doing like a realistic female armor and I got a lot of people in the stream being like, oh, this is so good. I'm so tired of titty armor or whatever, bikini armor. And I'm like, I like that. Don't take away my bikini armor, okay? I just also want other options. But if I want to look like a hoe a little bit, my games are impossible. I like that too. I'm not the only woman that feels that way either. I just want more options. That's what I mean. It's frustrating when the only option is to be barely clothed. I think the Monster Hunter series does a fantastic job with it. Some of it is just straight up like, I look like Catwoman with additional cutouts. And then other times it's like, you cannot tell what I am. I might not even be a human. I'm just animated armor. It's so freaking cool. I already can't remember how we got to that topic. Anyway. Aloha, did you see the amount of cleanup I had to do on that? Do you see how small it was? And how fast I fixed it? Come so far. We finally can talk about elbows on this stream. It's happened. Wendelia said, would it be possible for those with Discord powers to create an FAQ? Absolutely, I have mods I pay for that now. What do you want the FAQ to be about? Ask your frequently asked questions. Back. Hello, Ray. Makes sense. Yes. I just got back to hear Mia say she loves bikini armor. Makes sense. There was more to it than that, but yes. Oh, goodness. We need more male bikini armor. Yeah, I agree. So I have like fashion games. Why am I embarrassed saying that? Anyway, and I'm so mad because like some of them are like male only or female only items, and why? Why would you? Why? Like just let me just put stuff anywhere. Oh, he cute. Look how jacked up this pose was. Oh my god, guys. Wait, no, we don't do that. We're positive. If I have a shitty internal dialogue, my students adopt a shitty internal dialogue. Look at the beginning of a great pose here. Ah, I feel so awkward. But it's why I do this professionally for a long time. Like, I'm making fun of it because it's silly, but the whole like affirmation, whatever you want to call it, horoscope, I don't believe in that. But anyway, being positive, it does matter. You get good at what you practice, and if you're an asshole to yourself, you get really good at it. So spice it up every now and then. Give yourself a little compliment. Oh my goodness. But this is fucked. And I'm really happy I fixed it. But it's cool that like I was able to block out the pose quickly, and I also was able to improve it quickly. That makes me really happy. I really like this. And one of the things that helped the most, I think, was just standing up and doing the pose myself. The Q&A is just going to boil down to, how do you do this thing in ZBrush? It might, and I don't think that's the worst thing if we had like a little library of that with like timestamps for streams, because Paint asked like sculpting a face from scratch, and Alo was able to just like, boop, here you go. Ah, pulled my hair. So that could be cool. Hey, it's Yoni. Oh my gosh. Hello, welcome in, welcome back. We sculpted a whole character today. From scratch. Not from a naked body, but you know how we do. Yeah, so this is what we did today. I posed. You missed it. It has been a while. And we're we're streaming regularly again, so this is a great time to kind of dip back in. Yeah. And like always, if you need me, DM me. I don't think you're an active student anymore, but I don't care. If you just need a little direction, a little help, a little motivation, you know where to find me. Stream timestamps would be crazy useful. We could do that. We could look at that. I didn't realize just how useful having mods would be. But I don't pay them very much. Like, I pay them an okay, more than zero amount. But I can always adjust that as the workload changes. In other words, keep asking for stuff, guys, because I think these are all meaningful improvements. Seriously. Yeah. Okay. Do we have any questions on how I took this gently fucked pose to a pose that looks good? Any questions on that? Ooh, this ram skull has color on it. Ew. I feel like we're missing shadows or something really important. Yep. Fuck me. Sorry, forgot to turn on ambient occlusion shadows. Doesn't need to be that strong, but it sure helps seeing the model. Thank you for welcoming me. Of course, the peasants never forget a peasant. If we have a teaching moment, we can bookmark it and place it in a channel that only the mods can post in. That'd be fucking brilliant. That would be great. Do I swear too much? Anyway, that would be great. And I like that I have like a full-on, bam, teaching screen, so it's a little easier to find when if you need to scrub. Yeah. I can see that it's better, I just can't tell why. Ambient occlusion shadows. She beats me. No, I do not. All right, Mikey says, Mia, thanks for that little bit of insight. I think you just may have helped remember to be kinder to myself more. Practice makes perfect. Sometimes I forget, as do most people. Absolutely, absolutely. A little reminder is always helpful. Yeah, that's kind of like, that's something that I really like about these streams. And that's kind of like the persona I want to be, kind of like a Bob Ross that drops an unnecessary amount of F-bombs. Oh, I can feel my dad cringing. My dad hates that I swear as much as I do. And I understand it. My grandma has a good way of putting it. She's like, swearing is for people that aren't smart enough to have a better word to use. And I'm like, fuck me. She didn't say that to me, obviously, but you know, there's other studies that imply there's a correlation between higher IQ and swearing. So that makes me a genius. I don't think I'm that bad. We don't need to talk about it. Anyway. At least I don't talk and brain rot. Can you guys imagine? Okay. I meant the pose. Oh, Ray, you are tired. It's very obvious. You're okay. You were just tired. But if you need me to explain it, ooh, I can do something helpful right now. Let's do it. Let's do something helpful. We're gonna do a little draw over, because Mia draws now. Would you just zoom in? For the love of... There we go. All right, so before our line looked like meep, 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 meep. Now, this line goes here and then kind of branches off. I don't know if white was the best color to do there. Can I get at least one person to tell me objectively and coherently if this was helpful at all? I feel like to me, I'm like, wow, that's so helpful and clear. But I won't be hurt if you guys were like, what? Essentially, we just brought the pose out more. So his legs are farther apart, and now we have this uninterrupted, delicious line right here. That's unclear. This line is unbroken, which is nice. Good. Hey, Mike the Yeti. Hey, I was wondering if you do commissions. I don't, but the best way, because you've done this before, you were a patron, you can become a legendary patron and then pay for a priority ticket. They're $40. So it'd be $15 for the legendary and then $40 for the ticket. So $55, which is a screaming deal for commission. My commissions used to be $300 starting. I don't really do revisions. That's why it's not a commission. However, if someone joins and pays for a priority ticket, I pretty much treat it like a commission. I really try to implement all the details you ask for, unless you genuinely ask for something stupid. Like it won't print, or it's like weird. Like you asked for this character, but he needs tentacles. I'd be like, no. Actually, that could be kind of cool. I don't know. I'd know when I see it if I thought it was actually done. But I'd tell you. I would tell you. Yeah. Good question. This character is... I like him. A clear line of action. I got you. I'm glad it was helpful. All right, so 2 other things I want. One, I want a base because it's gonna make this look finished. Mesh can't be imported when it's partially hidden. Stop being pedantic, ZBrush. I name all of my fancier bases master and then a base because I plan to remove stuff from it as needed. So this one, for example, rock and grass master will probably be perfect. And it might have a little bit too much. That's a pretty boring master file, Mia. Jesus. Anyway, stuff like this, and then I can simplify it as needed. It also means that all these pieces are individual, so I can grab stuff as I need, like this individual blade of grass. This is actually gonna be a pretty good base for this because we can show off that skull. Ooh, that looks so good. Yes, cool. I imagined him more in like an alpine climate, not like deserty, but I mean, alpine can kind of look deserty depending where you're at. I do need to kind of move this skull around though to like really get it under his foot. And then I think a little foot bend would look nice. Get in there. Yes. Very good. There's, again, a stiffness to this pose that I do think works. I also think I'm going to make a couple adjustments here that might improve it. So I'm going to turn off perspective. That way it looks identical, even when I slide it over. So we have this. I'm going to look at it here. I'm going to turn it all black. There we go. And I'm going to make edits with it all black. All right, I need this to be merged down to the hands. What are my hands? There's a hand. Great. I'm still so jazzed that Yoni's back for a bit. Obviously, life gets busy, but even just you checking in, we love that. I also think it's cute as heck that the rest of the community was just like on it, greeting you. It just makes me so happy. We need a bend in this arm. This straight arm is weird. All right, this, where are my wraps? If the working in pure black is giving you a migraine or it's confusing you, let me know. I promise it makes sense to me. A timer. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to talk with my student Matt. He knows how I am. He knows when there's streaming happening. Obviously that kind of breaks his arm. Oh wow, it doesn't break his arm, actually. And I can just kind of drag that with the move brush. That little bend is gonna help a lot, make this look less weird. Also, why does this look so weird? Is that a thumb? Oh, it's not a thumb. It's the piece of that, the bone axe or whatever. It looks weird though, so get out of there. Can't have you there if you look like a thumb. And then these axes being so parallel to the ground is also kind of goofy. So let me fix that because we are in our fine-tuning phase, more or less. I don't know if he is giving me enough of like, wow. Like, for a lot of characters, it's really easy because they'll have like what I call default wow elements. Stuff like wings, a cape, horns. These things, no matter what, when they're in a character, makes people go wow. So sometimes when you have these simpler characters, you gotta figure out what their wow is gonna be. It might be these axes. So I'm gonna make them a little bigger. I already know that this new variation I've made looks a little nicer. Cool. Yoni says, it makes me happy too. I appreciate being remembered. Of course, of course. I managed to get a not so legal ZBrush, so maybe we'll try to sculpt again. None of my other students do that. So, yes, that is fine. That's awesome. Do what works. That's awesome. His wow factor must be his little known forklift certification. Y'all are so fucking funny. Oh my gosh. What would you add to the girl I just did if you were to add wow? What girl? Donde? Did you post a sketch? That's cute. Oh my gosh. All right, we got a Discord moment I gotta share with y'all. Sorry if that's too small, but this is my husband. He just posted, where are you watching the stream? I have Mia on the garage TV. And Reaper said, wow, I don't know what's sadder, being in the dungeon or being in the dungeon watching your wife doing her thing. Why are you roasting my husband? He's just trying to support me. Oh my goodness. All right, and then where's Just Lingual? Just Lingual, I imagine, put art in there. Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. He says, yeah, this was, you worked on during the stream. Where to add the wow? I was gonna do feathers. That would be some wow. Yeah, this would be a really easy one to add wow. Yeah, it looks like she's falling. It looks like it's intentional. That pose is fine. I would probably straighten her leg here to look a little more elegant and then stack this other leg behind her. That's fine. I would rotate her chest so it appears to be going upwards. More like that. And then for her hair, this is your wow factor. Well, one of your wow factors. It should look like there is wind rushing at her. And that's what's pushing her over. And if you choose wind to be that factor, then you can make her hair all crazy, and then this cape, bam. That would have some major wow to it. Even better if you rotate her head to be looking at the wind, or maybe the storm that's happening or something. That'd be really cool. I hope that helps. I love reviewing student work. Yeah. Mike said, what did you think of some of my 3D prints? They're awesome. They're so awesome. Like, I'm so glad that you're sharing the community. Everyone's been really enjoying it. But yes, that's how I'd make this character. Wow. Give it a story. Yeah. It is a cool model, Twinkle. Thanks for sharing. I see the vision. Awesome. I like it. I like it a lot. Let's see if you guys are still dragging my husband. He says, hey, I happen to like my dungeon, okay? And then Reaper just says that raises even more questions, which I don't have visible right now because I didn't think I would use this for things other than polls. All right. Very good. I'm going to love that little Discord one day to show you guys. If by chance you're watching and you're not in the Discord, join the Discord. Join. It's free. There's a link in the chat right now. Yeah. All right, how do we make him more? I kind of want to like move this over a little. I think that's nicer. Yeah, there, we got some gravity happening. Gravity's nice. And then it's always nice if you can add some roughness or some interesting silhouette points, even if they don't make a ton of sense. So I'm gonna kind of mess up this edge here. I think he needs like a little bit of a belly. Not like a ton, but he looks hungry. There we go. That's better. I thought that was funny in that moment. Don't ever tell somebody they look hungry or she looks hungry or he looks hungry. That's such a shitty thing to say. Don't say that. I'm saying that because it's an inanimate object. Okay, we're cool. I just had a strong feeling there. Yeah, this is cool. This last bit of the stream is just me kind of having fun. Mostly talking with you guys and whatnot. I guess I like you guys. I like to hang out. Well, who knows what's going to happen with Discord now, especially with what's happened. Here's the thing about being a professional creative. I've only been doing this in the long scale of things for a short amount of time. 7 years now. The amount of times that something has happened that's going to shake my business. Patreon's bankrupt, or Discord's collapsing, or Twitter is gone, or whatever it is. It has never mattered. Guys, we are not even gonna talk about this in 2 weeks. I am so freaking serious. Like, I'm not trying to rag on you specifically, Mike. I just think it was a perfect thing to bring out because it's all over my Discord right now too. It's fine. We're all gonna be on Discord still. We're still gonna be posting memes. Trust me. I've just seen this enough times in the last 7 years, and it literally never shakes out to anything, which surprises me. I'm like, surely there will be some change after this. Nope. They'll walk it back, or it'll be implemented in a way that is so diluted that's gonna affect like 10 people. Yeah. Yep. Nah, it'll be okay. Oh, Aloha. Shh, don't say that. Oh my goodness. Oh no, your 3D printer is clogged. There's filament in the extruder. Okay. So no matter how much you heated it up, it didn't matter. A cold pull didn't matter. Maybe you can get like, if you completely disassemble the entire thing, sometimes you can get some needle nose pliers in there. Feel free to post pictures about that in our Discord, and I think I can think of something to help you out, or someone else can. We're pretty resourceful. Yeah. Okay, that's such a wholesome, funny take on that. Just Nicholas says, this is making me contemplate what hungry looks like on inanimate objects. I feel like saying a chair looks hungry means something, but I don't know what. That is a fantastic, creative question. That is so silly. Oh, I love that. Someone write that down. That's a funny, because everyone's like, oh, just put a mouth on it. No, no. There's another way to do this. I'm thinking about it. All right, I'm going to do a fancy render. We're gonna keep this broken pose because it makes me laugh. All right, to do a fancy render, I move his head away from the lamp. I duplicate the entire model. Then I grab the gizmo and do a little rotate. The reason why, where's his hand? Why is his hand gone? Why did you stay over there? What? Come here. All right, it just needed a second chance. That's weird. All right, anyway, the reason why I duplicate the whole model instead of doing the screenshot thing is because then when I do the render, it doesn't interact. So it has to be an actual 3D model for it to do the lighting stuff. All right, cool. Now I'm gonna go into Lightbox, render set, and radial overlay. Let's see how that does. First, you must find out what it's hungry for. That's a actually really funny but profound question. I like it. Wacha. Render. We made a cool character. We really did. Excellent. I said that's so dry, but I am happy. All right, y'all. We're gonna take a screenshot so I can post it in the Discord, which, let's see, do I have any lip color? Nope. I'm eating it off. I must, guys, I'm really pale, so I must have my one bit of color. All right. That way when I smile, you can see where my lips are. Okay. It's almost screenshot time. Okay, there we go. Smile. Awesome. Amazing. We now have this screenshot for posterity's sake. Wacha! Did I say that? I do say that a lot. Oh, wacha! Emoji would be funny. I don't even, it'd just be words, I guess. Well, this was fun. Sometimes I feel like I've done the same baggy pants 1,000 times, but then I look at like the fabric folds right here and I'm like, ooh, that's nice. I also really like this scarf thing I made. And the biggest thing, the best thing about this whole model is his face. The head looks fantastic. Very pleased with them. Good job, me. Head pat. Well, that was fun. I'm not gonna do a start to finish model regularly, so don't be like, this is what's on the menu. It's not. But maybe once a week, month. Yeah. How long has this stream been going on for? 4 hours. Has it been 4 hours? Why does it say 4 hours? No, it says 3 hours and 12 minutes. Okay, 3 hours to do a model like this, start to finish. Very good. Pleased. I'm really happy with the head. And I like the fabric folds. I like that I know how this is gonna print, and it's gonna print bitchin'. I like that it's obviously very reminiscent, maybe a little too much, of this character, but definitely has its own take on it, which does make me happy. Cool. Oh wait, are we gonna do the Friday the 13th peak stream? I don't know, actually. I don't know. Are we? Are you free? I'm free. Aloha, are you free? 3 hours is a solid stream. Love it. Me too. I was able to get a lot done. Also, my heater is set to 80 degrees and I'm dying in here. It actually reached 80 degrees. Please turn off, for the love of God. Okay. Melting a little bit in here. Yes, I very much like his face. Do you, Mikeys? Just Lingual said I would literally skip work for it. We can do it on a day where you don't have to work. I just thought Friday the 13th sounded cool. I generally don't work on Fridays, so I'd be open to having it on a different day. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have strong feelings on it. We need to do like a little test run first just to make sure everything is working. Oh, you can choose your own hours. Okay. All right. What about the rest of the peasants? Do you guys have early Valentine's Day plans on Friday? Or are we all... I'm married. I don't count in this. Are y'all lonely and single? That's not as funny when I don't say, are we all? But I can't say we, because I'm married. Reaper says, I think I'm free Friday. All right. We could do a little poll, maybe, Aloha, to kind of, or / Reaper, to kind of gauge if that's a good day to do it. Obviously, most important is if you and Just Lingual are available. Right. Lonely death face. Oh, gosh. Medalia says, I work remotely, so I can watch the stream while I work on Friday. Okay. Thanks, Mia. No problem. That's my husband saying lonely. You are not lonely. I'm single and lonely, so no. Rip. Am I allowed to laugh at this? I think so. Ooh, I got like hair witch happening. Cool. I like that. They'll be stuck in the dungeon. Nope. My goodness. Otaka says, I work on... Sorry, this is so funny the way you worded this. I work on Friday and night shift on Valentine's Day. Not that I would have plans otherwise. I'm sorry, I don't know why I find this so funny. Why is this so funny? I'm not laughing at you guys. Like, it's just you guys are saying it's such a dry way. That's why it's funny. I am not laughing at you because you're lonely. Oh my god. Anyway, we'll do a stream for all you lonely hearts out there. Okay, I'm gonna stop while I'm ahead. This was a great stream. Super fun. If you're lurking, at least subscribe or join Discord. They're both free. I do this 2 to 3 times a week. I don't know, at least twice a week. Then that's everything. Oh, and if you want to support the stream, you should. I have a screaming deal on Patreon. You can get everything and make a model request every single month for $15. If you're like $15 a month is expensive, I kind of get it. It adds up. I have a $3 tier too. So that works too. And $3 is now half a coffee. Ugh, God, see, that doesn't make sense anymore. Before it was like, oh, it's the price of a coffee. But now coffees are so ridiculous that I'm like, I don't half the price of a coffee is outrageous. It's $3. You know how much $3 is worth. Anyway, there's a link in the description for that. Mia, can you stop laughing at the lonely peasants, please? I'm sorry, it's just so funny. Okay, love you guys. Let's hang around. No, I won't. You can hang around the Discord, but the tab is closing. Get out.